I'd like to call to order the Farmington Board of Education Budget Workshop meeting on Saturday, January 31st, 2026 at 9 a.m. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item 3, inviting and receiving public comment. I don't believe we have anybody here for public comment, so we'll close that. Next item on the agenda, item 4, is the budget overview. So I'd just like to start by saying good morning to everybody. I'd like to welcome my fellow board members, the administrative team, the support staff that's here. Thank you all for being here today. Your time and engagement reflect our shared commitment to our schools and most importantly to the students we serve. I also want to thank the superintendent, the administrative team, and our support staff for the significant work involved in preparing this recommended budget. Developing a school district budget is also always a careful balancing act, aligning educational priorities with fiscal responsibility. These decisions are complex and require thoughtful discussion and transparency. As board members, we serve as fiduciaries of public education. Our role is to balance financial constraints with educational priorities, ensuring that budget allocations directly support the district's mission, vision, and strategic goals, and enable all students to achieve academic and personal excellence. The purpose of this workshop is to review and better understand the superintendent's recommended budget for the 2026-2027 school year. We will review the budget book page by page, discuss each line item, and tentatively approve each page. This is not a final decision-making meeting, but rather an opportunity to ask questions, hear the rationale behind the proposals, and ensure that we are fully informed as we move forward. If questions require more detailed follow-up, the administrative team will return with answers at our meeting on Monday evening, where we will continue the budget review and consider adopting the 2026-2027 school district budget. So with that context in mind, and with our shared focus on advancing student learning, opportunity, and well-being, I invite Superintendent Giannini to present his recommended budget for the 2026-2027 school year.
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad we could be here today. I think we've seen more winter weather this week than we've experienced here in New England in quite a while. But we all chipped in to make sure that we could be together. Actually, this image came out earlier this week in a different way, but
Oh, wow.
we decided to adjust it just to show you that no matter what was thrown at us, we were going to be here together to get this budget passed. So, and it's a cost-cutting measure at the same time. So I want you to know we're starting off on a high
I've
note.
already gotten the grievance from the FDSEU that you're taking the nice little AI discussion.
Little levity for your Saturday. Thank you for being here with us and giving up your time today. So today I present to you the 2026-2027 Superintendent's recommended budget. I'd like to start by recognizing the numerous individuals who contributed to this project, including every member of our team who you see here with us today, but also to our leaders and staff members at the building level and across departments who were an important part of this process. So thank you to everyone. I'd like to begin with our mission statement, which speaks to the commitment we make as a school district to enable all students to achieve academic and personal excellence. Just as a strong portfolio requires a clear strategy, the budget development process is guided by our district's vision of a global citizen and supports our core beliefs, theory of action, equity framework, framework for teaching and learning, and the Board of Education's visionary goals and priorities. Together, this framework acts as our investment thesis, ensuring every dollar is strategically allocated toward developing engaged collaborators, empowered learners, and disciplined thinkers. With these guiding principles in place, a process unfolds That includes establishing priorities, building from the ground up, which we refer to as zero-based budgeting, considering the proposals made by those same school leaders we mentioned just a moment ago, and making refinements. This resulted in a reduction from initial proposals of roughly $1.2 million, which would have made today's recommended budget begin at 5.9%. We also explore cost saving strategies and then hold additional meetings to continue to review and revise in preparation for today. To sustain high returns, this year's budget targets specific growth areas, demonstrating a responsiveness to student needs and enhances high-quality teaching and learning practices across our district. The major drivers for the 26-27 operating budget can be summarized through the lens of a shift. In student services, we continue to respond to the evolving needs of our students through strategic shifts in staffing, programming, and services. Furthermore, these proposals align with this year's legislative recommendations for special education. To appropriately fund our self-insurance policy and remain responsive to evolving medical trends, a 9.42% increase is recommended in healthcare and benefit funding. Inflation costs impact every organization. However, we continue to see cost increases well above 3% across supplies, equipment, and services. The shifts made in this budget allow us to strengthen learning environments and maintain program quality despite rising costs. Our people are our greatest assets. The budget supports contractual increases while retaining our high-quality educators. It represents responsive staffing shifts linked to fluctuations in enrollment at certain grade levels and changes in student needs and required services. And finally, in technology, hardware licenses and costs continue to increase. This budget continues to ensure that our district has the capacity, infrastructure, software, and equipment necessary to meet the academic and business needs of a highly competitive K-12 educational institution. In addition to these major drivers, this budget maintains and advances academic excellence through innovative programming, promotes continuous improvement in student-centered teaching, learning, and programming, supports contractual increases, supports increased student need, addresses significant cost increases in certain goods and services, addresses continued state and federal legislative mandates, and contains costs through zero-based budgeting, reductions and efficiencies to maintain and advance current programming, and maintains class sizes in accordance with BOE policy. To contain costs, our teams work to replace expensive external contracts with internal professional positions, negotiated long-term, low fixed-rate contracts for the supply of electricity, and leveraged federal E-rate programs, resulting in increased network security, increased bandwidth, and added resiliency. Here you see the total proposed Farmington School District budget for the 26-27 school year of $86,961,855, representing a $3,720,872 or 4.47% increase over the previous year. Momentarily, we will review the major drivers for the 26-27 budget by series. Presented here is a high-level overview of each account, representing the changes from last year's to this year's recommendations. A thorough review of each of these budget sections, along with a line-by-line preliminary approval, will soon be led by Assistant Superintendent Zatoon. The dividends realized by our community's past investments are evident through the exceptional performance of our students. The 2024-25 School District Annual Report and results include information across an array of student performances and achievements that indicate the place Farmington takes as a top performer in Connecticut and beyond. We continue to see market-leading returns, including those you see here, academic success, which includes data points like 85% of all AP exams scoring at a 3 or higher. Our students achieving top rankings in National Math, Science Bowl, and Science Olympiad competitions. And U.S. News and World Report consistently ranking Farmington High School in the top 5% of all high schools. Farmington remains a front runner in innovation, as you see represented here, with achievements such as our economics team qualifying as one of only 8 national finalists, our students securing awards in the Harvard Pre-Collegiate Economic Competition, and at IAR, a medical moment deeper learning experience, receiving the Connecticut Association of Schools Educational Citizenship Award. Farmington takes holistic approach to excellence in education as well. Our student athletes find success on the field with over 20 Farmington athletic programs qualifying this past year for state tournaments, securing 5 conference championships and 2 state titles. Our student artists excel as well, and the district's music program was recently recognized as one of our nation's best, one of the nation's top communities for music education in 2025. Farmington remains a high-value investment relative to the market. We rank 131 out of 166 districts in Connecticut in pure pupil expenditure, spending $2,068 less per pupil than the state average. This demonstrates our ability to deliver top-tier results with exceptional fiscal discipline. Before moving on to our page-by-page review, I'd like to close by saying that this budget is a commitment to maintaining a high-performing portfolio that benefits not just our students, but the entire Farmington community. These investments will move us ever closer to our goal of seeing every Farmington student become an empowered global citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. All right. So next item on the agenda is item 4B, budget book review of superintendent's recommended budget, page-by-page review of the 2026-2027 budget book.
Good morning, everybody. Am I on now?
Just have
No. This one, he gave me the faulty one that's, all right. Morning, everybody. Just wanna, good? Excellent, all right. Once again, just kind of quick review for the budget book to kind of get everybody, calibrated. What you have there is, first and foremost, you should also have that acronym guide with all the little, acronyms and different things, but feel free if throughout, in education, we are classic at just throwing things out there, so feel free to stop, raise your hand, and ask a question, if you're not sure, what something is in reference to. As you look, the beginning for the superintendent's opening budget message on the first page there, kind of with that overview, just highlighting the cost efficiencies, containment and avoidance, academic excellence and equitable opportunity, economy-driven costs, and increased student need impacting costs and special services. Then we have the various introduction with the table of contents to kind of make things easier for you. We have each section should have the budget summary, pie chart, core documents, and budget summary by objects. And then each budget section, so for example, like in salaries, starts with a pie chart that you can also see up on the screen that will kind of follow along. The board will have a motion for each page, and then we'll share and highlight each section and be able to ask questions per page on anything there. And then in the back, you're gonna see kind of support sections. That has just a lot of helpful information, information that you might want to pull in there. We won't spend time in there per se, but they're just there as a kind of reference documents for there. Before we begin, as Jessica kind of said, I just want to thank the entire team. We have Dee, Darlene, Beth, and Ann. We have Sam, Matt, Wendy. We have Veronica, obviously, here at the table, just for all the hard work that they've put into making this presentation hopefully clear, concise, and helpful. So thank them for spending their Saturday with us this morning. It's much appreciated. So with that, we will go to the 100 series, which is salaries.
I need a motion.
I move to tentatively approve page 1, central office salaries in the amount of $629,193.
Second.
Go ahead.
So this first budget driver, salaries, the 100 series, accounts for approximately 66% of the total recommended budget. So obviously this is, that significant driver of our overall budget. The budget increase in the salary line is 4.23% and reflects negotiated contractual obligations, shifts in staffing based on program needs and enrollment shifts, as we kind of talked about at Wednesday's board meeting. And also reflects all the association salary increases for the coming year are highlighted on this slide. The first one we have is central office. As you can see here, this is the leadership here that we have at the central office within the superintendent, assistant superintendent's positions. That currently will have a $30,474 decrease, which is a decrease of 4.62% in the central office.
Any questions? Myra? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. So next item, page 2, I need a motion.
I move to tentatively approve page 2, principals in the amount of $2,845,353.
Second.
So in the principals line, obviously principals provide the sound educational leadership and administration at the building level, provide special education services, leadership at schools, meet federal and state requirements. This account includes development of strategic goals, objectives and plans to improve student learning, conducting a strong, consistent staff evaluation program, practicing efficient management and budgeting techniques and program improvement. The 26-27 FAFSA contract, which is the Farmington Association of School Administrators, provides for a 3% contract increase with step movement. There is the additional 1.0 FTE being requested for a secondary supervisor of special services. So there you'll see overall has the $254,219 increase for a 9.81% change.
Questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Page 3 is blank, so we don't have to approve that page. So on to page 4, can I have a motion?
I move to tentatively approve page 4, preliminary professional staffing page for 2025-2026.
Second.
Okay, Dan?
So page 4 is just, kind of an overall summary of the staffing that we had shared from Wednesday with some of the shifts that we had kind of talked about. This focuses on professional staffing, so you'll see the certified teachers doesn't include the, paraeducators, custodians, monitors, tutors, and so on. This is really, like I said, to the certified staff that's there. Just to kind of give some context with some of the numbers, once again, you've seen presentations and you've seen various numbers. The numbers here just might be slightly different than some of the numbers you've seen because this is really our budgeting sheet where we put the numbers, and so some of these, you might see a 0.2 or a 0.3 that's getting shifted to a grant that won't be part of the operating budget, or vice versa, we move something from a grant there. So that might just, if you see some discrepancies that are there, as opposed to the presentation on Wednesday where we talked about what we're kind of adding as total kind of FTE staffing. Mm-hmm. This is really focusing on how we're paying for that.
Questions?
So we're approving these FTEs, and then there's another approval for the next page, which is the actual salaries associated with it, or is this all?
Yeah, this is really kind of just a summary, kind of data document kind of a thing, but yes, this is just kind of approving,
The FTEs, and then there's another one for.
yes, for the teachers, yes.
I'll save my question then, thank you.
Just a clarifying question. So a staff member who's a part of the care team, where do they appear? Is it in
So
certified?
care team would be part of teachers.
Okay, okay,
But the OT would.
okay. Do they appear like under their school? Is that how they appear?
So the care team currently,
In special education.
yeah, it's under the special education. So if you talk about location.
Oh, okay, I see. Gotcha. All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Next page, page 5. Can I have a motion?
I move to tentatively approve page 5, teacher salaries in the amount of $38,614,559.
Second?
So here, this is for our, our teachers. When we do our budgeting for this, we work with our K-4 pupil teacher ratio of approximately 19.5 to 1 within Board of Education policy. A secondary school ratio of 1 teacher to approximately 90 students. In addition to the regular classroom teachers, we have school counselors, library media specialists, music teachers, physical education teachers, art teachers, and other educational specialists are included in this line. Increases in this account are a result of contractual increases that will start for the 26-27 year of $1,000 plus step advancement when applicable, $2,200 increase, general wage increase for teachers at top step. Overall, there's going to be a net decrease of 3.39 FTEs, was reflected in the operating budget. The application of teacher turnover is applied here in Object 117. And so to clarify that, typically what we'll do is do a teacher turnover, of moving in there, and we've applied around about $150,000 each year in there. We've had some conversations, I know Angela, we've had some conversations before about, each year, we kind of do this zero budgeting, and we kind of say, okay, this is all of our salaries and this is what it is, but then the actuals, right, come in where we end up with, anywhere between, I'd say 300 and 500,000 in the plus, and then our subline, we always end up, in kind of this, deficit there, and we kind of, and there, and you've brought up that point of, at what point do we kind of use actuals to kind of help that budgeting? So we've taken that feedback, and so this year, instead of applying 150,000 to teacher turnover, we're applying 325,000 to teacher turnover, and then you'll see in the subline we've actually increased that $100,000. So really we've shifted it. We're trying to balance that out so that at the end of the year it reflects more accurately on there. So we're kind of doing it with we're doing it with baby steps to kind of try to kind of move in that direction, because we want to make sure that, most importantly, at the end of the year, that we have this budget that finishes in the black and finishes in positive, and making sure we don't make too many adjustments there. But we, like I said, we've taken that feedback and we've made a little bit of adjustment on that teacher turnover line to hopefully more accurately reflect actual numbers. Happy to take any questions.
Can you repeat the figure that you made the motion with?
Yeah, $38,614,559.
My book is different.
So yes, so you're gonna know a little bit of a difference. Wednesday when we talked, when we had the discussion, we talked about that February 1st is a contractual deadline for teachers to announce retirement. So since Wednesday, we've had a few more teachers submit their retirement, and so what that does is whenever we have a retirement, most of the time, if you're retiring, you're probably at the top step. So we do this teacher turnover formula. So if someone's making, I'll just use easy numbers right now. If you're making $100,000, most likely a new teacher or someone, when we hire someone new, is probably not going to be at $100,000. They might be at $75,000. So we'll see this actual or anticipated savings of about $25,000 there. But the retirement contribution, because they've earned this retirement kind of payout, is, let's say it's $5,000, and so we then take the retirement number and we have to add, let's say 5,000, but then teacher salary, we can move something, so we're still saving, some money, and I'm making it a very simple formula on this. So between those, we have some more anticipated savings in the teacher salary since we've been able to print this book. So to try to also be fiscally responsible, we decided not to take all your books and print out brand new ones for it, and we just make updated motions on
Okay.
them. So overall, you're going to see, I think on the teacher line, I think should be about $120,000 in anticipated savings there. When we get to subs, you'll see. I think it's probably going to be a $20,000 increase up there for an overall savings of about $100,000, and then we'll talk that the number that we talked, the 4.47, I believe, is now I think a 4.35.
Okay.
So look at that. We've already saved money and we're already moving. We're already moving probably in the right direction to be fiscally responsible.
Dan, following up on Ann's catch there, can we get, just so we have accurate information, can we have the dollar change and percent change?
Yes. So let me make sure I have so the teacher salary, once again, as James said, would be $38,614,559. The dollar change, actually, I think Beth is gonna have it for me.
$1,226,807. Or 3.28%.
Thanks, Beth.
Okay. Any more questions? Go ahead, Angela.
So Dan, I appreciate you commenting, because those of you who have been on the board, I struggle with this line item every year. I continue to struggle this year. So to just reiterate kind of what Dan was explaining, at the end of every year, I look at the fiscal that ends in June. So that's the final financials for that particular year. So in the last 3 years on the salary line, the 2022-2023 school year, we had a surplus of almost $800,000 in the salary line. The next year, $600,000, and then this past year, we ended with just under $700,000 as well. If you look at the December financials that Dan presented on Monday, we are on track right now for a surplus of $600,000. Granted, that's in the middle of the year, so we have another 6 months to go. And I know, and thank you, Erica. I know that it's going to be offset somewhat by the subline, but it just feels like to me for zero-based budgeting, there's got to be something else here besides the contractual increase. It's not making up for that amount in my mind for some reason. I still can't reconcile it. Is it teacher turnover that we're using more subs, and is there a broader issue here that we're not capturing? Because that still seems like a lot to me last year to be $700,000 over. And granted, some of it I think was explained a little bit on Monday with the 3 kindergarten teachers that we didn't execute on. And there are explanations that I can reconcile some of it for, but then that gives me back to a baseline of, okay, we were over by $700,000. I can reconcile that, but now we're getting an increase on top of that this year. So for me, it's just still hard to reconcile. I don't know if anything you're gonna say honestly will.
Sure,
I'm not.
sure.
I'm just kind of walking through it and giving everyone my perspective on this line, just because it's such a driver of the budget and that's such a big line for me. I'm gonna have to review everything a little bit more. I do appreciate what you guys are doing in terms of trying to make that subline make a little bit more sense with it, but just I can't, at the end of the year, those numbers in that bucket, just something seems like we could be budgeting something better somewhere, so.
So I'll give a couple kind of perspective, and like I said, and maybe it'll help. First and foremost, I think the challenge to that once again is you start with here are all the teachers, we're going to turn over the salaries, and everything is based on the fact that if everybody worked, their 185.5 contractual days, and everyone, or even if they took sick time and they had sick time, but whether it's people taking FMLA leaves or mid-year resignations, and all sorts of things that happen over the course of just a dynamic organization, right? Where so many things, there's so many moving pieces. That it fluctuates, but the challenge is no one ever knows from year to year what that what that piece is. And so just to your point, I think, you know, when you did those 3 years averages, 1 year was, I think, 700,000, 1 year was 400,000. And so from there, there's this $300,000, you know, like variance of things that you might potentially have to now make up in other areas. And so when it feels like a lot of money, that, let's take it as a, you know, I'll say $500,000 or $600,000, you know, a year. Out of an $85 million budget, it's actually a very small percentage of piece that kind of, you know, that overall would impact, you know, kind of that overall budget. And then if you know, another way to kind of look at it is, you know, if we take, you know, the 500, 600,000, you know, for once again, for round numbers, if the average teacher salary is $100,000, that's 5 teachers, right? And so very quickly, you know, 5 teachers can have an impact on a variety of things. And once again, and I'm taking that purely as those numbers. If we actually then look at the subline, which is usually probably about what, 100, 200,000 there. So now that variance is more, probably closer to $300,000-400,000 a year, which is probably even a smaller percentage of the overall budget. And now we're talking about maybe, you know, 2 or 3 teachers that could create such fluctuation in there. So I agree fundamentally with that idea about, you know, how to do it, but I think, you know, there's I think maybe a practical reality in the side of, like, you know, we can't be wrong, right? I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's always, but the idea is that you can't be wrong, where we never want to have to, you know, go in front of the board or the town of finance and say, hey, we need more money, right? That we need more because we hit that perfect storm where we had, you know, 4 or 5 more, you know, either resignations or family medical leaves, or, you know, a long-term disability, or, you know, or any of the things. And once again, in this case, all you really need are probably 4 or 5 that could really disrupt this overall part of the, you know, I think the $38 million budget, right? So that's, I think, why it's there. So I get it when you look at the numbers, it can create this kind of that feeling that's there, and like I said, I totally understand, like, where that perspective is coming from, and I think us trying to do the teacher turnover and kind of shifting there is hopefully us trying to acknowledge some of how that feels in there, but wanting to make sure that underlying we still go to our core of making sure we provide a fiscally responsible and that doesn't impact the quality of programming. So
Definitely.
that's,
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you. I'm going to take a better look at this for the final vote on Monday, but yes, appreciate everything you're doing, and I do like that we're trying to take that into consideration a little bit more on the subline. So thank you for the context.
oh, you're very welcome.
Dan said it well, but I would just reiterate quickly that we see that shift as responsible budgeting. We're also responsible for providing our recommendations in the budget, and so as that shifts, instead of making too radical a change at once, you know, I don't want to describe it as a baby step, because for us this felt like a big jump, and something that then it gives us a year's worth of data on that move that can continue to inform our practices in future years as well. So just, you know, echoing what you said, but just putting that spin on it as well.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Matt?
Thanks, Andrea. Just 2 from me. One clarification, right? So the $38,615,000, that's related to page 4, the 392.8 FTEs. That's how much total sort of FTEs fall into that dollar amount? Or is it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's how many FTEs fall into this dollar amount. I was
Yes.
just curious. Okay. And then 2, on the increase of the 1.2 million, I was wondering if it was possible to provide a breakdown of that increase, for example, contractual percent versus the FTE reductions versus the step. Like, how do I think about that increase mix? How much of it is contractual? How much of it is the district deciding to reduce FTEs, for example? I don't know if that's possible, but that was my other question. Thanks.
Well, that's a great question. This is why we bring our incredible team over there.
The brains.
So what we will do is, or what we've done in the past, and if it's okay with you, they will work on that. If they are capable, well, they are very capable. If they're able to get that for us during the course of this meeting, we'll do that. If not, this is typically something that we would kind of put on that question list, and we could bring that answer to you for Monday.
Right.
Does that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, real quick. Do we, Ann and Beth, do we have a good sense of the question of what we're looking to break down? Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? All right, motion carries. Next page, page 6, can I have a motion?
I move to tentatively approve pages 16 through 18, employee benefit health insurance in the amount of $10,572,636.
Sorry.
I think we moved over one.
We moved over. Sorry, we
Should
should
be
be on
on
directors.
Oh, oh, it's down a little bit, sorry.
No?
Just following top down. All right.
Where is that one?
Scrap
They're
that
on
one.
here.
Yeah, it's right here. Down at the bottom.
Yeah, out of order.
I think it's because in the past, they typically went and did the benefits to go, because of the story of the salaries and then the retirement
Oh.
benefits. That's
Oh.
why on that.
Oh, got
That's
it.
why
They
this is.
typically jump.
Oh, got it.
Bill stepped out for,
Uh,
so we.
Oh, yes, yes,
So
yes.
that's
Okay,
why.
Bill would step, yes, correct. Okay.
So you were right.
You were right.
Reading it correctly. All right, so we're going to page 6.
We're going to 6, okay.
6, yeah.
All right, so scrap
Sorry,
what
just-
scrap
do
the
you
last
wanna
one.
Give context for any of that, or if not, we can just keep going.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think most people know, so the former chair, Bill's wife is a teacher here in the district, and he would step out during certain page reviews that had to do with teachers.
So we condensed the salaries and the benefits one, so he didn't have to step out, come back, and then step out again.
I see.
All
So
right.
we went out of order, but now we're back to order.
Now
Yeah, we're back to order.
We don't have to do that anymore. All right, so scrap
All
the
right.
last one.
All right. So-
All right, so I move to tentatively approve page 6, directors in the amount of $1,438,137.
Second?
All right,
And so the directors are some of the instructional support people across, technology, media services, equity access, school to career opportunities, student activity services at Farmington High School. So that covers that. There's also what we put in here is we put a reserve, typically for any type of negotiations that we have. In this case, we'll have an upcoming one, a spring for nurses' contracts. So the directors is just kind of this catch-all for when we put in reserves for contract negotiations.
questions? Go ahead.
How much is in the reserve for the nurses? Is that is that the majority of this, or?
No, I think that is, Beth, you want to just double check for me? I think I have a number. Yeah, I think it's approximately
30,000?
30,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Next page, 7.
I move to tentatively approve page 7, advisors, coaches in the amount of $647,784.
Second?
Go ahead.
So this is, coaches' salaries, co-curricular programs, advisor stipends. Many of these are outlined in the FEA contract that is there. With a new teacher contract, one of the things that was negotiated was a 0% increase for the next 3 years in this area. And then what we also created a few years back is the dynamic nature of programming at schools is we've moved beyond just having like yearbook and newspaper and, these traditional clubs, and clubs kind of come and go and have different things. So they created this Appendix C, which has this kind of general outline for principals to be able to assign stipends. So it's, either like a level 1 for $300, $600, and it kind of moves forward there. And so they have an allocation to be able to kind of stay within that allocation, but to provide stipends for those opportunities. What we've seen before, and principals have been kind of doing this before, and they've been using student services in some other areas in their budget sometimes to pay for some stipends. So what you'll see is a kind of a larger increase here because on Object 319, where a couple of the principals had been spending for it, we wanted to shift it back here where we believe it truly belongs, in that like Appendix C allocation. So even though you see the $55,311 increase, you're probably gonna see, I believe it's a $60,000 decrease once we get to Object 319. So overall, this is kind of a flat. It's just really from an accounting purposes, we wanna kind of put money where it probably should be coming from. And so that's why you'll see this dollar change here.
Questions? Matt?
Is this where like clubs are essentially funded, right? The people kind of managing and overseeing, so more clubs.
Yeah, the
equals
clubs
more
and
funds.
stipends and, all the, the various, like I said, I'm trying to think of some of the examples, but, some of whether it's robotics or some of the math team or, the economics team that we talked about, these are things where the stipends got paid for that wouldn't traditionally be as part of the FEA contract.
Got it. And I guess we're comfortable with the kind of level of clubs we have, right? Because this is about flat, you said, based on shifting from the other object. So this sort of keeps the clubs flat year to year. Is that how to think about it?
Well, it keeps their stipend, it
Okay.
keeps their stipends flat, so, oftentimes in the teacher contract, the coaches' stipends and the, club stipends would kind of maybe like move like a percentage of a master's, like there was some formula where their pieces were there, but within the negotiations, they opted for other areas, other salary and benefits, and agreed to have this part flat for 3 years.
Do they also do a one-year proposal of the club and then begin the stipend the second year?
Yeah, so each of the schools has like an allocation for those Appendix C stipends, and so because once again the dynamic nature of it, maybe I'm really into anime, right? And so as a freshman I start an anime club, but then the reality is after 4 years and I graduate, anime kind of drops, right? And so this way it creates an opportunity to not have to like keep this club going, but now there's a new club that something else is big. I wouldn't even try to come up with an example for lack of embarrassing myself. And so now you can just shift it over there. So each school has a process where these advisors propose what clubs they want. They propose what level it should be at. The principal looks at the allocation, looks at attendance, programming, what they do, and then approves the stipend level for the Appendix C.
Thanks.
I was going to say, there's more information in the supplemental section under salaries that goes into more detail about the different clubs at the different
Yes,
schools.
absolutely.
Yeah. Additional questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries. We're on to page 8.
I move to tentatively approve page 8, teacher substitutes in the amount of $965,656.
Second?
So here, as you can imagine, substitutes, you probably have a good idea what substitutes do. Couple factors here is just the difficulty and challenge in finding substitutes. We have increased that rate a little bit to try to trying to recruit more and keep bringing in quality subs. But you'll also see part of the large increase there, that 25% increase, is the $100,000 that we've shifted from the teacher salary line to kind of more account. That account usually at the end of the year runs, a couple $100,000, in the red, offsetting the teacher one that runs higher. And so once again, that was just a shift, an attempt to try to more, at the end of the year, more accurately reflect what actually happens.
Okay, questions? Go.
In here, it's also to provide homebound instructional support services when required, so that, those are technically not subs though, would those be or are those considered subs for homebound instructional support services?
So that would, I think, probably vary on each, situation. Oftentimes we would have it do it, it would be subs who could do it. Sometimes if you have maybe more intensive programming, you might need to get certified teachers to kind of do that. And then that would, the duration of it, right? If it's something that would need to be, and I don't know the exact time, but if it is, going to be an extended period of time, maybe like months or something, it might move to more of a kind of a certified type position. If it's something where it's just maybe, less than 10 days or something, it might just then be a sub to kind of cover some of that homebound tutoring.
Okay. And do subs get any type of training or anything that's built into this part of the budget? Because like, I agree, we want quality subs, like, I'm totally on board with that. It just seems like there's a high turnover of that, like, you know, I mean, this seems like something, again, like, is there a broader issue that's, I get why we need subs if teachers are out, obviously.
Sure,
But
sure.
is there anything else in here that, you know, we could do better, or, like, I'm just trying to think, like, how, on some of these line items, that,
Yeah, so.
is there more to it, I guess?
Um,
Not really.
I don't think there's a, but we do, to your initial question, we do provide a training for them in the beginning of the year, and it works with a couple of the building principals and does some programming and kind of, talks a little bit, some classroom management strategies, right? Because, sometimes if, you're a sub, you come to a classroom, and you're like, you're having, students are being challenging, and you're like, I don't need this, right? And kind of that piece to it. So we try to provide some, strategies for them and how to handle things, and they're, they are required to still go through, the mandated reporter training and all the various things that they're responsible for. So we have some of those pieces to it. We do look to see where, our other districts are paying subs to try to make it competitive. If you find that it's easy for them to be making $20 a day more at this place than that district, then we have to try to look to adjust and stay competitive there. But having said that, I don't know if it's that much more complicated than, trying to be able to keep bringing in good people, try to advertise, find maybe, people in the community who might be willing to do this, and because it provides a lot of flexibility, right?
Totally. Okay, thanks for the context.
That?
Yes.
So, Dan, can you talk just a little bit about building substitutes versus other substitutes? Because I know we really have kind of created a strong program of building substitutes that can be used and kids are familiar with.
Yes.
But I imagine that doesn't meet all of the needs for substitutes.
Correct. So, we have our building substitutes, who are the ones who would, kind of, reporting every day, kind of covering that's there. We also have some of the curriculum support substitutes who allow for the teachers to be able to do professional development training, and so they can kind of there. And then you also just have your daily subs, which are when we've used up our building subs, that are at each various building, and now just need to cover, other, the absences, sickness, and other, personal leaves and such from there.
Also, percentage-wise, do we have a handle on, does that work across the district, or is it just as needed? Could you say, when we have the substitutes in the school, it's 90% building subs, and we bring in, I imagine there's a lot of fluctuation there, but.
We could probably, run a report from Frontline Raise Up, to kind of see where.
I'm just curious, like, even anecdotally.
I guess one question would be how that gets coded in the day. If they're in a building for PD, we just have to kind of suss some of that
I don't
out.
want to make any complicated,
Yes.
I don't need a complicated report, I was just.
Yeah. Listen, anecdotally, I'll say I haven't heard from much from the principals saying, like, we can't find this. I know, a couple of years ago, it was very challenging, right? There were, it was, we have 8 absences, we only find 5
Yep.
subs, we're patchworking 3. I haven't heard it as much from them,
Okay.
so I think maybe we're coming a little better. I know especially, once again, even though COVID's now been a while, after that, it was, nobody
Yeah,
wanted to
there
come
were
in
some-
buildings, it was really challenging.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard it as much. And, having said that, I think just before December break, there's a lot of flu going. I know that there's always these hot kind of times where things are difficult. Fridays are historically challenging, to find subs, and so you have those isolated things, but I don't think it's been as bad as in the past.
Right, but this line covers both building subs and
Yes.
per diem or as needed?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, and I would say next, also, when teachers are out on those extended leaves and you need a sub for a long period of time, they actually go into this line too.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 9.
I move to tentatively approve page 9 tutors in the amount of $710,101.
Second?
As you can imagine, this is, to help students in special services, math, English, language arts, provide instructional support. They are part of FPSEU increase of, they have a 3% GWI.
Questions? Go ahead, Erica.
Because I've heard about the tutors, so then I'm just now realizing the support to students in special services. So this would not be, like, I know that I hear a lot at the high school where like a student all of a sudden needs help, extra help with math. There's an area where they can go get tutoring. Is that this? It doesn't. This is not. This is just for. I guess maybe delineating. It's just to support students in special services. Is that like special education? Or is it
No, this includes the high school tutors, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah.
just, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, okay, yeah, so sorry, these are just general, it doesn't,
Yes.
general population, whether you're special ed student.
Correct,
and
or
you're
general ed,
student.
yes.
Yes,
This
okay,
covers
great.
all of our
That's what
tutors,
Yeah,
yes.
no, just because I heard a lot of positive at one of the events, Veronica, that we were in, just so much positive from the students about how much value those tutors brought to their just day-to-day. And yes, okay, so thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yes, just maybe the way it's written. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. All right, page 10.
I move to tentatively approve page 10, aides instructional support personnel in the amount of $3,780,325.
Second?
And, this is one where I'll just, kind of clarify, we haven't updated our budget book as much. It's technically now para-educators, as the state of Connecticut tells us for kind of naming them. To providing educational support, academic programs, intervention services, across a variety of settings. They're members of the FPSEU. They have the 3% general GWI. We do, once again, there's the 3.1 FTE shifting off the operating budget onto the grant and other funding sources. We have the 1.86 FTE decrease of the two special ed paras to offset the recommended at the 0.5, the school psychologist. So overall, increase of 0.36 FTE to reflect the current need. So happy to take any questions. Like I said, I know there's a lot of shifting in the numbers on there.
Angela? Oh,
No.
sorry.
Go ahead, Angela.
No.
Well, I was just wondering if there is any sort of open paraprofessional FTEs for students who may move into the district or students who qualify for a para throughout the year. How do I think about sort of open heads within this section?
So that's a great question. So sometimes when we have that, we'll, Wendy will work with us and say we have a new student, either they're coming in with one, we'll do, kind of evaluation, have a PPT. And if need be, then what we do is we take a look and we'll meet our legal mandates to provide that. And that's, that's a great example of a place where now we look to find money and to shift and whether that is, maybe, where we are in the para-educator lines that can get offset by the teacher line being, in the surplus, right? Or, somewhere else where we might have it, or depending on at what point of the year, if now this qualifies for excess cost, grant,
right.
Then that might offset that somewhat. So for a variety of different places, but yes, that's, we would meet our legal obligation to provide the student with the para-educator, and then we would just find the funding allocation to make sure it happens.
Got it. Either in this page or in a different page?
Or in another area.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Angela?
Can you just explain a little bit more the grant portion and other sources? When I hear grant, I want to make sure it's like a sustainable way of paying for it and not, I know with some of the grants in recent years, we had them, but then when they became that we didn't have them anymore, we had to find money to pay for that portion of it. So is this, when you're saying it went to the grant and other funding sources, so it's not in this line item, you pulled it somewhere else, or
Correct.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. So at the either each month when you do the budget, we talk about the various like federal and state grants that we have.
Yep.
So the IDEA is the popular one, Title I, Title II, Title III, those various grants.
Yep.
Those and we've also talked about that year to year that funding has been relatively stable. We don't usually get the increases that probably meet the 3%, contractual increases.
Yep.
So each year what we do is we'll shift ones over, back and forth, just honestly for no other reason, just accounting purposes, right? It's like sometimes it's just easier to not try to take a whole contract.
Yep.
And then, if we have I think I tried using it last year and I'll try to do it again. We'll use $100,000 as if that's our thing, and if I have 4 teachers who are making $25,000, it's just easier to put them on that grant because now it's easy. But if I have people who are making like $35,000, now it's like 35, and now it's like, now I have to take like 0.4 of somebody to finish the grant to make sure we're using all that money. So Ann will just try to look to see where we can kind of make it fit in really as cleanly as possible without having to make too many adjustments of, Dan Zatoon's salary is 0.87 on operating budget and 0.13 on the IDA grant, such like that. So it's really mostly just accounting and shifting of there, but not changes in dollars. But so to answer I think the base question you had is the sustainability is most of those are coming from the grants that we believe are these federal grants in Title I that we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to get year in and year out. Sure. Always hoping for more, but barring something radical where all of a sudden now the federal government says you're not getting any IDA money, we wouldn't have to worry too much about how to shift that onto operating.
Okay. So, and is this like the first year we've done this shift, or to your point, just really accounting?
No, we do these kind of shifts each year a little bit, back and forth, and it's not, like I said, even some of the teacher ones, and I think some of the teacher increases that we had are because of shifting them off grants onto salaries, and so here it's kind of shifting from salaries to grant and vice versa.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Page 11.
I move to tentatively approve page 11, office personnel in the amount of $2,585,256.
Second?
So these are, our various administrative assistants, who, like many of these other roles, just, play such a pivotal role in our, day-to-day operation. And so this is, you'll see, overall decrease of 0.5 FTE reduction. That is for the reduction of one of the health clerk positions that we have to kind of offset some of the shifting that we're doing. But they are part of the FPSEU, so you'll see just a general kind of increase of 3.0.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 12.
I move to tentatively approve page 12, nurses' services, in the amount of $1,113,607.
Second?
So nurses related services, you can focus a little bit on the related services pieces that we talk about were, the OT, PT, CODA, some of the other things that we've kind of talked about. So I'll just kind of go through here on the account goal. They provide the professional emergency medical services to students and staff members to maintain accurate medical records, administer immunization and screening programs, and provide related health services. To provide full-time medical services at the 7 schools in Farmington. The 2026-27 nurse contract is under negotiation with the anticipated salary increase in Object 115, which is the one we talked about before in that director's account. There is an increase of 0.5 FTE for a nurse we anticipate at Westwood's Upper Elementary School, an increase of 1.0 FTE to reflect a shift in funding from the Object 340 of other professional services for the physical therapist. An increase of 2.0 from 320 for the occupational therapist and CODA, and so that results in a 3.5 FTE increase in this account. And so part of this account is also offset by projected revenues. So let me go through, there's a few things there. The physical therapist also that was one, we started doing this occupational therapist that we're shifting over last year. We did the first one that was last year. We talked about doing for physical therapists last year, but we already had a person in that position, then, and that was offset. So that when that person retired, I think it was it was a late retiree. It was after the budget had already been set. We kind of made that shift there, but it wasn't accounted for in the budget book yet. So that's one's kind of like a cleaning up from the year before. The occupational therapist and the CODAs, one that we talked about, Wendy talked about at the board meeting from Wednesday. So we have that. And then, like I said, we'll see afterwards the shift from professional educational services and professional services for the physical there later on. And then when we talk about being offset by projected revenues, what we do have is we do have some students who have critical medical needs, so they require a one-to-one nurse. Oftentimes that those needs qualify for excess costs. And so, when they do qualify for excess cost, that excess cost will then get applied to here to offset the nurses and related object line. Happy to take questions on any or all of those explanations.
Is the 0.5 FTE for the nurse at Westwoods related to like a critical medical need?
Not individual, but we have seen an increase there of medical needs to provide some additional support. And just as an addition to remember that starting this year, we moved the pre-K to Westwoods.
yeah.
So that's also kind of help, not help, but increase some of the demand at that school.
Thank you, that makes sense. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 13.
I move to tentatively approve page 13, cafeteria security monitors, drivers, in the amount of $747,405.
Second.
So once again, we have our monitors, help provide supervision to promote a safe and positive climate and culture in our schools. This includes security monitors for all of our schools. They are now part of the FPSEU, and so they will be seeing a 3% GWI. And then the additional increase where you see that the larger increases, there was a shifting of a position from grant to operating budget, so that is one where we went from grant on to operating there.
Questions? Matt?
I'll ask the grant question this time. Did we lose the grant, or did it just kind of we're shifting around and it's
So
accounting?
this is one, or I'll double check from him, but I believe this is one where we lost the grant, and so just to maintain kind of the security.
Sure, of course.
it.
I'm just curious how much that
Yeah.
was, if you either now or later. Yep.
Yeah, we can try to find what. Yeah, that shifted from the grant to operating.
Yeah, I have,
You're looking for the lost grant amount?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I had to ballpark, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be right by like 35,000.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. I was just,
about 28,000.
Oh, 28,000.
That's fine. I was just kind of looking for how much is sort of uncontrollable, right?
Yeah.
So thanks.
Roughly half, basically.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have probably contractual
Okay.
increase.
Any other questions? Angela?
I don't know if it's in this, or maybe I missed it, or maybe it's in a future one. Where does the residency person that we hired, is that in the monitors, or was that in the directors? What was it?
I believe that's
It's in
directors. Directors,
So
yes.
we passed that already. That was,
Yes.
but he's in there. Okay, I was just gonna ask if we've seen our, benefits of that in terms of, it was sold to us as like a savings, because we would find people that taxpayers were paying for that necessarily shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I didn't see any of that.
No, and just to kind of go back on that, I can tell you emphatically that yes, we've been able to, I think I will say threefold. One, we've been able to identify families who don't actually reside in Farmington, and we've been able to kind of work with families and have them withdraw and go to the schools that they do reside in. The other one is where it's also been beneficial is because to be able to dedicate that as students or as maybe families who try to register their children, because we've been able to have kind of the extra set of eyes to scrutinize and look at that and be able to establish that. We've been able to have families not register because they didn't qualify, because of residency. And then this one I can't really quantify, but we get more of a sense, from other people is, there's this, word on the street that, that Farmington's really monitoring, right? And so I think some people who thought like, oh, it's just easy, all you have to do is do the, aren't doing it, right? And so, you can't really quantify that, but there's a sense of that is, now that Farmington does have this position, and it's much, I don't want to say it's much more rigorous, but it's just more oversight of the process. that it's also helping in that regards.
Okay, awesome, thank you, yeah, I just wanted to monitor, I thought of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you.
I would say, in addition to, unlike a lot of the other work we do, it's not always a collaborative process, so it is very time consuming. So again, when we think about the numbers that we've seen, it's.
Yeah, and and it's it's a long process. You have to demonstrate a lot of evidence to there, and so but I can confidently say yes, it's been a good return on investment for Farmington Public Schools.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to comment too, because I was part of, several of us were part of that budget discussion when we added the residency coordinator. My understanding was before we budgeted and hired for this person, that building principals were responsible for doing a lot of this work, and really that's taking away from students and learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And there's times we do this and they prove residency. So that helps avoid relationship problems between school, office staff, and families as well when it's done through that centralized system, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. On to page 14.
I move to tentatively approve page 14 custodial services in the amount of $3,018,527.
Second?
So, I think we all know how hard custodians work and how important they are to the, the lifeblood of our organization. And so you'll see, here that they're part of FPSEU, and so the 3% GWI there.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. On to page 15.
I move to tentatively approve page 15, staffing by category.
Second?
So once again, this is just now, I'll say a wider view of our just staffing by category. That first one, I think on page 4 was really the professional staff. This now includes kind of, principals, directors, the tutors, really, all the human personnel, all the human capital that we talk about. And then below, you'll see kind of that almost description and an itemized description of all the changes that are there.
All right, any comments or questions? Beth?
So would we see custodians, which we just talked about, under maintenance?
Yes.
Okay.
And also the 1.0 under the principals and directors is for the special services position, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, just one for me. And this excludes, I'm looking at the special services, the IDA grant shift. So any FTEs under grants wouldn't show up in these numbers, or would? Or how do I think about that?
So this would be, this would be what we're covering.
Right.
For.
So the minus 2.98 excludes any positions shifting in and out of grants?
I'm trying to make sure I phrase it right, that's why.
Sure.
Yes, so that would be, so minus 2.98 from operating budget.
Right, year over year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Angela?
Yeah, that's a good question that Matt's asking. And again, that kind of piggybacks onto my other question. I know it's impossible for grants to only do one-time year expenses perpetually, and that's just hard to find those types of projects to constantly cover. But it does concern me, if grants go away, then we're absorbing that into the budget, and again, this probably is answered from your prior response in that you feel those federal grants, which I took a look at after you mentioned them, are pretty stable, we get those same amounts every year.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, from a process standpoint, if the grants were to go away, we don't have to move them to the operating. This is why we would have these discussions, and when you have to decide, do we want to move them there, or we would have to talk about cutting those positions or cutting other things to offset, right? So those would be the questions that we would have in these meetings to kind of make those decisions.
Yeah, it's just historically, I think, and everyone feels this way, it's hard to get, once you make a position, it's hard to get rid of it. There's emotional attachment to it,
Sure.
there's all of this, so.
No, absolutely.
It's just something to think about, and, you know, as people, those are people too, you wanna think about, you're getting rid of a person or whatever, but, yeah, I mean, it's just a longer, more global discussion, but.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks, but so to Matt's point, these are the FTEs only covered by the operating budget, not by the grants.
Yes. I was just gonna have Ann and Beth give me that like final nod sometimes when they give me that confirmation. All right.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries. So I think we are on,
I think we're the
Benefits?
Benefits.
Let's go
Yes.
one.
so we're gonna be looking at pages 16 to 18, I believe, right?
Yep.
For this? All right, so you're back.
Yep, got it.
First page.
Yep. I move to tentatively approve pages 16 through 18, employee benefit health insurance in the amount of $10,572,636.
Second?
So here we have the 200 series benefits. So this next budget driver, or what we call the 200 series, accounts for about 15% of the total recommended budget, with a 9.42% increase driven by claim trends. Accounts in this 200 series include employee life insurance, life, long-term disability, other, as well as FICA/Medicare, retirement contributions, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, and other employee benefits.
Questions, comments? Go ahead, Ann.
How often does the town look at joining the MEHIP program, the Municipal Employees Health Insurance Program, that piggybacks on the state benefits?
That's a good question. Typically, what our process is, we work with a consultant, One Digital, who will kind of each year help do an analysis for us, for various options for, currently we do the self-insurance program, as opposed to doing like the state partnership in there. I would have to check. I don't know if they've, done any comparisons or any piece to look to see what the benefits of doing this municipal program would be.
Because it's my understanding, if you're part of the MEHIP, you save money because you cannot be part of an HSA. So the town could not put money into an HSA because you can't have that if you're on a MEHIP.
If you're on this MEHIP, would that be in lieu of doing the self-insurance?
Correct.
I can look to see if they had ever, done that, as a comparison or analysis, and we can work with One Digital to also see. I know, I believe, let me double check. I know each year they do the comparison with the state partnership plan, and I believe, going to the state partnership plan would be an additional like $1.2 million.
Correct, but this
onto
is
the
not the
operating
state.
side. But this is not, this is
No,
different.
this is not the
So,
partnership.
No, we could definitely look into it. I mean,
Okay.
All right. Angela?
Dan, I might be misremembering here. So remember last year when we had that rule where there's an establishment of another account where there could be rollover? It was like the superintendent one.
Yeah.
Was there excess in this account that we rolled over into that account or no, it wasn't this benefits line?
The non-lapsing account?
Yes.
The non-lapsing
So-
account. Was it from this?
No, so
It was
the
not.
non-lapsing account was just money that we had at the end of the operating budget,
Okay.
that in lieu of giving it over to the town, we were allowed to put it, for our purposes.
Was it in a specific bucket though, or no?
No, the non-lapsing is just the
Where was
non-lapsing,
the excess from though? It wasn't, I thought for some reason it was on the benefits line, but it wasn't in.
it came from, so where it came from was the state, when we do our excess cost, which is, for any of special services over 4.5 times per
Okay.
pupil expenditure,
Yep,
they give us a percentage of what that is.
okay.
We budget what we think it's gonna be. The state came in, told everybody it's actually even less than what most people did. Everybody was like, kind of in a panic mode.
Yep.
The state then passed this additional $40 million
Got it.
So at the end, they didn't tell us till, I think it was probably like March or April, we were gonna get this extra $300,000. At that point, we already made whatever adjustments we needed to, our operating was gonna be fine. So instead of just, trying to, frantically spend $300, we just said, hey, let's be responsible, let's put it in a non-lapsing account, which would allow us to offset any types of, unexpected costs that we might have.
Okay, that's very helpful, so nothing to do with the benefits line.
Nothing to do with this.
And is that in this budget, do we see that non-lapsing account anywhere, or that's truly?
No,
just
that is just a separate,
completely?
just a
Okay.
separate side that currently has, I think, like I said, a little over $300,000. That as a board, it would be, if we, a good example, Matt, you had talked about a student moves in the middle of the year, needs a paraprofessional, the budget's tight, it's gonna cost us $40,000. I might come to you at a Board of Education meeting and say, hey, I'd like to recommend using $40,000 from the non-lapsing account to pay for this paraprofessional, so we don't, so we don't want to worry about running in the red at the end, at the end of the year. Or, a boiler breaks at IAR or something like that, and it goes beyond what we want to do in capital or major projects. We might say, hey, we'd like to use some of that $300,000. And so in order to spend that, we would come to a board meeting, tell you what we want to spend it for, and you would need to approve it first.
Got it. Yes, thank you, sorry. It had nothing
But
to
yeah,
do with
not part of the
I thought it
operating.
did, But that makes
Yes.
sense, thank you.
And I also think it ties into what we spoke about earlier, which is the strength of that account allows in some of those other areas to reduce tolerances over time, because then we say, well, we know where we could go if needed, in the event that, some student moves in, a major piece of equipment breaks or needs repair, like we have that.
But now for full disclosure, it's kind of like tools in the toolbox, and I'm gonna, kind of give you some of the thoughts that we have on a daily basis is that money could be applied to a budget, right? Like you could. Having said that, to your point before about concerns like with a grant, right? If you do it for one time and then you apply it, sure, you're saving money and you're lowering your budget this year, but now next year you have to now make up that $300,000, right? And so you want to, we talk about it in terms of a fiscal cliff. You never want to kind of create a fiscal cliff where by lowering your budget so much, you don't know how the next year you're going to pay for it. Because then the next year you got to get yourself out of the cliff and then go up there. So you always want to be, kind of very thoughtful about it. Because I know sometimes people are like, well, why don't you just put that money in? Well, that's great and it buys you time here, but then 2 years from now you have more fiscal challenges.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and there's no rules on that account, so it can accumulate over time.
The limit on it is we can't do more than 2% of your budget. So for
2% of this budget can't be in that account.
No, you can't
reserve
Yeah.
more than 2%.
Okay.
So we could, so I think, it's, you figure 85, or let's say it's an $80 million budget, it's like $1.6 million you could put in.
Okay, thank you, that's good clarification.
So we currently have less than 0.5%.
Yes.
Right, it just, we just
Correct.
got that. account.
Correct.
So over
Correct.
time, this could
Correct.
be a tool, more of a tool,
Yes.
depending on how much we spend.
And before this law was passed, traditionally, that was money that would just go back to the town.
Yep.
And there, so.
And you could, hypothetically too, live in that world of, let's say we got into next year and you were going to apply money from that fund to staff, we'll use the example of a para. You are still taking that on for the next year.
Yeah.
So again, it gets you through that year, but you do then have to adjust and make moves and recognize that that's going to have an impact in your future years. So it's good to have, but you have to just be really mindful about how that gets applied to your budget for the coming year.
I think that's for one-time expenditure.
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
Yes, like that boiler IR, you're not expecting every year to have to fix that boiler, right? So you're just gonna be able to fix it and get you through that little bump, and then you kind of keep going on.
Over time, correct.
Yeah.
Legally, are there any restrictions? Can you put that in an interest-bearing account so you earn money on it?
I don't, I think it sits in a kind of a.
The town holds the account and it's just held for us. We have that in an account ourselves, like separate from the town's.
Yeah. like, I don't believe we don't have the control per se of it, and I don't think we have the ability to put it in something other than just a, money market CD, but once again, it's the town who would control it, so they would be the one responsible for it.
I would hope it's in an interest-bearing account.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is, I'm sure
I'm sure it is,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely a council concern.
All right, any other questions?
Hi, Andrea, just one quick
Go
one
ahead,
for
Matt.
me. So how many employees do I think about are part of this 10.6 million? Is that the 664 that we just approved from page 15, or is it different company? I was just curious what the big picture of
Yeah,
it.
not every employee takes that.
No,
We could get, I'm sure, a
Dr. Ann, do you have handy how many
Like in
of
ballpark
our
is fine.
staff utilize the health insurance?
I don't have it readily available, but we can pull it.
Thanks, thank you.
Any more questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. So I think we are on page 19.
I move to tentatively approve page 19, life insurance, long-term disability, or LTT, right? Yeah, that's long-term disability and other in the amount of $293,854.
Second?
So once again, provide, as you said, life insurance, long-term disability per negotiated contracts. This number comes based on, we look at trends, over a multi-year period to kind of come up with that number.
Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Page 20. I know you gotta find it.
Yeah. I move to tentatively approve page 20, FICA Medicare, in the amount of $1,678,504.
Second?
So as you can see, this is just meeting our federal requirements for employer matching contribution of 7.65 for Social Security and Medicare benefits for those qualified classified employees. And this is another one where we look at what the requirements are and trends and match up to come up with our number.
Comments, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 21.
I move to tentatively approve page 21, retirement contributions, in the amount of $114,823.
Second?
So this one, actually, if I'm gonna have Beth and Ann just, cause this is now, remember we talked about salaries and retirement, so this one's now gone up in the percentages and changed, so, I know James just gave us the request amount, does one of you have the dollar change amount?
Yep, so the new change is still a decrease of 84,848 or 42.49.
Got it. So once again, that's that shift over from the retirements that we talked about that came in this week.
How many retirements came in this week?
This week, I think, was 3. I think totally we have 5, right?
6, you're gonna get it on Monday nights, I believe 6.
Oh, 6, okay.
6
And
total.
I
Six.
checked my email to see if there were any more.
6 total.
Technically, I think they have through today and
Tomorrow, right?
and tomorrow, I believe, so.
I don't know if this is the right place to ask it or if you can even answer this question, but how does that impact the 4 elementary teachers? And that I think we all have
Yeah.
concern about.
Yeah,
you know?
no,
Yes,
absolutely.
sure. I don't believe we'd have any elementary resignations yet. However, much like I spoke to them about, it's a hard question to answer at this point because what it doesn't mean is that someone with a certification might be interested within district and moving to one of those positions. So at the moment, there's not a direct correlation to those positions, but there could be a domino effect of what transpires with people who carry multiple certifications.
Yeah, so it's still a moving chessboard.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, a lot will happen between now and then when we make those final decisions and have to formally, let those staff know that they're a reduction in force.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. On to page 22.
I move to tentatively approve page 22, unemployment insurance in the amount of $20,000.
Second?
So this is to fund any obligation the Board of Education may incur from the State of Connecticut Unemployment Bureau for former FPS employees.
Questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Page 23.
I move to tentatively approve page 23, workers' compensation in the amount of $273,011.
Second?
Once again, to provide workers' compensation insurance as required by law for all of our employees. Once again, it reflects our zero-based budgeting.
Questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. On to page 24.
I move to tentatively approve page 24, other employee benefits in the amount of $2,200.
Sorry, because I just
Why
love.
do I have shoes?
I know, I just love this one so much. I jumped the gun a little. This is to provide a pair of safety shoes for each custodian per the FPS EU contract.
Guys, how did the price of this not go up?
I was gonna say, I was just gonna say the same thing.
I don't know.
These are the shoes that superintendent was shuffling with.
Yeah, I had to.
Notice his LLB nice
Yeah, I had to be in line with OSHA regulations.
Slip-proof, yeah.
But is the reason it didn't go up because it's what contractually is
It's
negotiated?
just what's
Oh,
FPS EU contract.
okay.
so-
Yeah.
Yes,
For your shoes.
Yeah.
yes.
Shoe prices probably went up.
I only buy one
Yes,
shoe now,
they'll
but-
have to bargain shop. Yes, they will. Yes.
Oh, all right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. On to services in page 25. Or do you want to?
I was gonna say, do you want me
Okay,
to do?
go ahead, yeah.
Here, let's, services there. So 300 series now is the next budget driver, 300 series, which accounts for 15.62% of the total recommended budget. This is a very volatile series of the budget due to the categories of costs within the series. There is an increase of 1.28 in the services series. This account provides for special services, consultation services, and tuition costs for outplacements, major facility projects, K summer school, and technology-based operational systems, as well as professional development. The increase is driven by special services costs due to student need, which was reviewed at our last meeting during the preliminary special service presentation, as well as an account supporting transportation services, facilities, and electricity.
Quick question, Dan, before we go on to the first page. In my notes, I have it as 15.64. However, I don't see any kind of other adjustment on any of the other pages. So I just want to make sure that it is 15.62 and not 15.64.
Oh, that is, actually, the fact it's in blue is probably, I probably have the outdated one that wasn't updated, so it should probably be 15.6.
Yeah, but I don't see,
Oh, you don't see anything else that was
yeah,
adjusted?
that's why I wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that before
Yeah,
we moved on.
let me look.
It's just because when we change those two amounts, it changes your overall base, which slightly changes the percentage. of each
Oh,
of
got
that.
it.
So I had given you both just so you had them, but that's what that 15.64 and 15.62 are.
Got it,
So right, like we took 100,000 out of the budget, now we have a new budget number, so each of those percentages.
got it. So the dollar amount is changed, it's just the percentage of the overall budget
Correct. So
shifted
I see.
slightly
Okay.
because of the salaries and the retirement contributions.
Oh, I don't know, we're not.
What's the 15 you guys keep referencing? What's the
It's
15?
actually,
Oh, so-
we're the only ones that have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, so basically, kind of talk about it. See, we're talking about that 15% of the overall budget. But what we're saying is, there's a slight shift with the salaries and stuff from 0.62 to 0.64. But, I think if we just said, it's about 16% of the overall budget.
That little pie
That-
is what you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That put us in better standing.
Okay.
Look at the denominator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and any
We don't
move,
have a
any
number
move we
for-
make moving forward
Yeah, I
will
think
continue to
it's just in the
impact those
motions up here that we have a
percentages by
blue-
slight
a blue
amounts
Yeah.
on the pie charts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't see that error.
All right, so page 25.
I move to tentatively approve page 25, summer teachers, in the amount of $491,816.
Second?
So this is providing our summer learning opportunities for students at all the schools, including special services, ESY and ELL programs. This includes personnel and supply costs.
Questions, comments? Matt?
Just, I assume this is correct because the budget is about flat, but just the number of sort of weeks/days for ESY and ELL for the summer, is this consistent with last summer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. On to page 26.
I move to tentatively approve page 26, public relations services, in the amount of $50,400.
Second?
So here, public relations allows us to provide funding for our community newsletters and community relations K-12 Board of Ed meetings, as well as other district and community-wide events.
Questions, comments? Matt?
Thanks, everyone. Well, I'm on communications now, so I was curious. Does the newsletter what universe does the newsletter go out to? Is it just families with students in district? Is it the whole town? How do I think
The whole
about
town,
the
correct.
Every
distribution?
Yeah, Every
household.
household gets it.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Go ahead.
So it seems like a small amount, so I mean, it's $50,000. But just for the communication itself, like, do we ever do a survey? Do people read this communication? Like, is that the most efficient way to get our messaging across? I mean, again, my questions are more globally centered here, like, I'll vote yes to $50,000 in the scope of this budget. But it's just an overall thought of, you know, the content of the image, you know, I don't know, we're at 2026 now, like, should we just think about how we're communicating and getting these messages across?
Sure.
And maybe that is it, I don't know, maybe everyone loves it, I'm not saying they don't, but just a thought.
We have had those conversations. We haven't landed on a specific path forward in terms of what to do next. I know at least at the moment, that's our practice for informing the community at large about all of the amazing things that are happening here in our Farmington school system. But it is a good question that I do think we need to be considering, because it's really how people consume information today that I think is the answer to what might happen next. We do have our annual survey that we send out regarding our communication, and there's opportunity for feedback, so it might be something we explore as well as how are you consuming, and which, we've had that conversation about the website before too, like we can look and see which pages are most, widely used and visited, so what does that tell us about the way, because at the end of the day, it's the consumer of the information that matters, right? We could put a newsletter together, but if you're not reading it, then it doesn't have a strong value. So it's a good question.
Yeah, just some food for thought.
Do you know what the response rate is on that survey?
Off the top of my head, no, but I'm sure we can get that information
It's only
for
a
you.
month in, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, there's two parts to that answer as well. There's a number that we'll receive, and then a percentage of families that respond. And there's when we think about it, there's like a sweet spot of what you want to see. You realize you're never going to get 100% of those responses back.
Right.
But then there's a point we like to see where it's like, this tells us it's good information. It's representative of the community. So.
And just also along those lines with the survey, we're asking how do they see the best communication, forms of communication that would eliminate those who aren't parents in schools. And at least, the mission of the community newsletter is to inform the entire community. So you could get very different answers depending on which part of the population in the community are looking
You could,
at the website.
and so it may be that there's something done in partnership with the newsletter, for example, that, there's the print version and there's some other, way that we're sending that information out, however we might decide that to be.
Right,
Mhm.
right, yeah.
Matt?
No, I'm good.
You good? Okay. Any more? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. We are on to page 27.
I move to tentatively approve page 27, student services, excuse me, in the amount of $65,150.
Second?
So this provides funding for orientation programs, assemblies, transition, support between schools, college career readiness, commencement. Commencement, I think, between the high school and IR are probably the biggest drivers of this area.
Questions? Angela?
Then I have questions on these like small budget items, but this provoked the most questions to me because I would love to see what the breakdown is of where like this money goes, because I feel like there's this constant discussion. I can speak to the elementary schools because I was closest to that. When there's an assembly, the PTO is asked for money for that assembly, or how are we gonna pay? And it's like, we have all these line items for things that seem to wanna capture this, but then it never seems like that money is available when these assemblies come up. It always seems like, I can speak for the PTO, they're asked for a lot of money to cover these assemblies. So is each school, I was never informed if each elementary school was given X amount of dollars from this budget towards, and they could apply it to whatever they wanted to. I would just be curious, like, what is the breakdown of this, in terms of how the schools are allotted that? Just a.
Sure, yeah. That's something, like I said, we'll work to get a
Or like, what assemblies did this cover, to
Sure.
make it more tangible to understand, like, what did this exactly cover last year? Just some starting point of understanding the scope of this bucket.
Yeah.
Because it did go up significantly from 2 years ago. The 2024-2025 was 23,000, and then last year it was approved as 62,000, and now it's requested basically the same as last year.
Yep.
A little bit more.
Do you know, Dan, if something got shifted into this item between 24-25 and 25-26?
Yeah, I'll probably have Beth.
Assemblies?
Yeah.
Well, a small portion of that is the piano that's being moved in here.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had that piece of it where elementary, that's probably.
Who's the piano?
Oh, so when the elementary schools do concerts, they'll usually bring in someone, the retired
Yes.
music teacher will come and play the piano, and so that.
That can't be a large, we don't.
No, it's whatever, it's like a couple $100, a couple of concerts times
Okay.
4 schools, right? So it's not, but I mean,
But that was shifted.
yeah, so that's where the dollars change here, I think, was shifting the 2438. That was in another line, once again, I think elementary principals might have just put that in, I don't know, I'm making something up, but like supplies, and we're like, well, this isn't really a supply, so let's more accurately reflect it.
Yeah.
So let's find a better place to put it, and so we shifted that, kind of similar we did with the coaches and advisors,
Yep.
when they were putting them in different places, so.
Okay.
I also, Dan, we do more of because commencement also, and is graduate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the commencement,
Graduate, yeah, I think it's like
I
graduate.
think those are the overriding
The
drivers of
middle
this.
School added like a more formal commencement that requires all the,
Yep,
so I think that's in here too.
Yeah.
It might
Yeah.
be increased from last year.
okay,
So,
yeah,
We'll check on it.
yeah, just be
Yeah.
interested to, or,
and to be honest, it's probably one of those where even the account goal, the description, probably needs to maybe be, basically say, this is pretty much for commencement and graduation,
I think
more
so.
than actual how the money's being spent, right? So as, I kind of look at that, so that's a kind of a good footnote to kind of,
yeah. Cause even, like I know for like the 4th grade moving up ceremonies last year, like there was a panic for chairs, and there wasn't enough chairs in the district to go around, and there was talk about having to rent chairs, but it's like, if we have these line items for these types of, things, why is that not open to the, it would be clearer, I think, to your point, to state exactly what this is for, so there's a little less confusion and
yeah.
gray
No, I
area.
think that's a great point. So,
And a good example of what a line of demarcation could be, and we'll go through the breakdown because I think some good questions have been raised, is it a guaranteed experience for students? So are all 4th graders having a promotion ceremony? We need chairs and materials for all 4th graders. Then it's something that might live in a district line. Whereas a specific school is doing an assembly and having things, then yes, the PTO would be asked because it's something specific to that school.
Yep.
And that helps us. There's other lines to come that I think a similar mindset about that could be, right? Like when do we pay and when don't we?
Yeah, and I will have follow-up questions on some other lines that I have in previous years, which similar thought process of like, can this just be clearer for if the expectation is it's always there because this is something every child is gonna get, or is it
Yes.
something school-specific or grade-specific or whatever?
Yeah, same idea, because not all of our, where it gets easier is once they move to Westwoods, but when we think about our 4 elementary schools, they're gonna have activities and events that are unique to those communities that, you know, we're going to, again, that's where the PTOs are gonna come in for those pieces, but if it's something that everybody does, we just had like the 8th grade orientation night here, that's open to every family and 8th grader to come and participate in it, so it's something we should support through these lines, because it's a district event at that point, so, but it's a good question. and,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just thinking of something, and I don't know if it comes under this line or like a supply line, but I know when students enter 9th grade, I think during their freshman orientation, they all get their like class T-shirt.
Yeah.
You know, so would
Yeah.
that be something that would be included in here?
I would double check. I know it's in their budget request.
Yeah.
Let me check.
But it's
and
like
see.
something that they get every
Correct.
year.
Yeah.
That's specific to the high school.
Mhm. And that might be an example, again, of a guaranteed experience
Yes.
for every student who's going to be a part of that versus, you know, an individual school doing an activity that's unique to them
Yeah.
and their community, so.
Any other questions, comments? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We are on to 28.
I move to tentatively approve page 28, other student services in the amount of $29,650.
Second?
So this one, I'm going to go back to when we talked about club advisors and stipends, how we shifted that money. So here you're going to see that decrease of $60,509. I believe on the other one, we added $55,000 to the clubs and advisors just to more accurately reflect where money is going. So the remaining request here of the $29,000 is pretty much mostly drama, especially at the high school, like high school drama production for the base in there. They all actually offset that obviously through, you know, ticket sales and you know, program guides and different things. But as you can imagine, putting on, you know, the high quality production that they do, just the licensing fee for a show is you know, upwards, you know, is pretty expensive in there. So that's what this covers.
Questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? You have to note that Matt is out of the room. All right. All right, page 30.
29?
Oh, sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
Did I skip that? Oh, no, we're doing
29
29 through 31.
I move to tentatively approve pages 29 to 31, professional education services in the amount of $421,875.
Second?
So this kind of like completes, or not completes, but kind of connects that story of the shift that we're doing, as when we talked about the increases in salaries and nurses and related services. So this account covers consultation services, including occupational therapy, student evaluations, the Center for Children with Special Needs, CCSN, and other consultants as required. Decrease due to shifting and funding requests to personnel reflected in Object 121 and budget efficiencies. The object also contains curricular accounts, which funds the development and revision of high-quality contents-based units of study designed by teams of teachers. Student data drives the spending for these curricular items. So once again, you can see you know, we kept using the term offset, right? Offset. So here's where you can see us kind of paying for some of those positions that we're looking to add in the salary schedule. But at the same time, to note that while the decrease in there, that there still is you know, money in there for any continued consultation services that we need to have, right? It's not, we're not gonna work with CCSN, not gonna work with Cheshire, you know, Fitness, and those, we'll still use them, but just be able to, you know, be either more strategic or be able to do quality kind of more in-house as needed. Happy to take any questions.
Go ahead, Bev.
So I feel like I should have caught this last time PT, OT came up, and now it's coming up again, I think in one other place too, but why are they not together? Physical therapy and OT, is it because some were continuing to do outsourced as consulting? and some are,
Tell me a little more about what you mean about them not being together.
in the same line. So, where are we now? 29. Professional education services, it says it includes occupational therapy.
Oh, I think that's probably
Physical-
just a description. I mean, physical therapy probably could just have been included in professional, so, yeah, that's probably just more of a, I'll say, a technical program, like an account goal, we could probably including physical therapy, occupational therapy, because it would also include like speech language, right, and within the professional, like,
Any service
so any of the services in there, so.
But I think to Beth's point, earlier there was an increase in like OT,
To be honest.
right? Is that what you're saying, Beth?
Yeah, we did talk about
I know
OT.
what she's- I think
But then, and maybe I'll bring it up when we get to 340. There's physical therapy under 340 and occupational therapy under 320. It could just be how those
Are these
services are.
different? So you're saying are they different or is it all the same?
Well, I know it's different.
Yeah, no, they're different, but some of it is just shifting it from the different, whether it's line 340 or line 320.
Right.
And kind of shifting those pieces in there, so I'm just not gonna get them 340.
You have to put them somewhere, I guess, but I just thought it was
Yeah.
interesting that they weren't together.
No, I can see that. And that, and to be honest, that's probably something where, Wendy and I can kind of take a look at the 340 and the 320. Oh,
Sorry,
Oh.
they had been separate, we are now moving them into 121 together. So historically, when they had been contracted, the way the accounts were set up, PT was coming out of 340, OT was coming out of 320. This budget is shifting them all into nurses and related services.
Okay, so we could almost cross out in the
I think there's a
description.
small amount left in 320 for OT, but yes, otherwise, the majority of those dollars.
it's gonna go there. Got it.
To 121.
To 121.
Yep.
Yeah.
Under nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Nurses and related services.
Maybe just updating the descriptions. of
Yeah, the
the-
description's getting
Yeah, we're
updated.
shifting. Thank
Yeah.
you.
On page 30, can you talk a little bit more about what FHS future planning includes? It's improvement of curriculum, FHS future planning?
So I think this future planning is really, if you see the account details for a lot of the different areas there, it's kind of early in the year to know exactly which projects are gonna be funded. So that's one of the places that if like one department goes over what's allotted there, which is not that much, he's able to move it into the future planning. So it's almost like a catch-all for all high school projects.
Other questions? Comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries. We are on to page 32.
I move to tentatively approve page 32, supporting educational services in the amount of $20,026.
Second.
So this supports a variety of programs, family outreach programs, Good Start, Project Padea, other learning experiences connected for students, some summer programming at the high school. The decrease you're going to see here is results from NEASC. The high school did, NEASC has shifted how they've done it, so they've kind of done their, instead of this like one kind of over-expansive every 10 years, they kind of do this quick stop in, almost like a little bit of a formative assessment, and then they'll come back in a couple of years, but it's still much smaller in scale and a little bit more manageable. So the decrease there is they're kind of now, they're going to be getting their like formative report, which then they'll have a little bit more time to kind of make the adjustments before kind of like that official visit and accreditation that comes through. But that's where we're being able to save the $15,142.
Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention? Motion carries. On to page 33.
I move to tentatively approve page 33, professional employee training and development in the amount of $184,122.
Second.
And so this is, our professional development account, provide in-service training for our faculty and staff, aligned to our Board of Education's goals and school program development plans. Includes mentor stipends mandated by the TEAM program, which is Connecticut State Department of Education for teacher certification. You can see here a decrease of almost $3,000.
Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 34.
I move to tentatively approve page 34, other professional services in the amount of $307,469.
Second?
And so once again, here is kind of like we talked a little bit about before, the shifting over there. Provide some professional services by the district. This also includes some of our legal fees, audit fees, legal negotiations, legal services for special education. There you have the physical therapies that we talked about, first responder, OSHA program, insurance consultant services, first aid courses. Decrease is once again, we talked about the personnel reflected in 121 and the budget efficiencies. So once again, you're going to see that significant decrease of 124,000. The offsets as part of the shifting in special services planning.
So Dan, this says physical therapy services, but that's not in here anymore?
That one-
Correct, that will no longer be in there.
Yes.
So maybe just updating the.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
wording there.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Page 35.
I move to tentatively approve page 35, data processing services in the amount of $493,267.
Second?
So here to provide our core applications and systems for our district operations. This account houses all critical operational systems. The increases are attributed to annual renewals, which are at an all-time high. Some operational systems have been cut and continue to review is ongoing. Increase is due to contractual increases in data services.
Questions, comments?
I would just say when we spoke earlier about, inflation and the impact on our district, what we think about in terms of inflation in the economy at large doesn't necessarily equate to what we realize as a school district when contracts go up 7, 10, 15%. And, we're trying to maintain the services and the, tech systems that support our district throughout the year. That's just one example of a time when we see heavy hits.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We're almost hitting the 2-hour mark, so does anybody mind if we take a 10-minute break to do what you need to do? All right, so we will take a 10-minute break at 10:52. All right, so we're back from break at 11:05, and the next page is page 36.
I move to tentatively approve page 36, water, in the amount of $74,544.
Second?
So I started this part last year where I just usually say self-explanatory. And if for some reason you don't think it is, feel free to ask for a clarification. So water, self-explanatory.
We're using less.
All right. Any questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 37.
I move to tentatively approve page 37, sewer charge, in the amount of $18,358.
Second?
Self-explanatory.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 38.
I move to tentatively approve page 38, disposal services, in the amount of $100,443.
Second?
Self-explanatory.
Any questions? No? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We are on to page 39.
I move to tentatively approve page 39, equipment repair, in the amount of $109,779.
Second?
So this one, I'll just kind of clarify a little bit. You're going to see in the next few between building, equipment repair, building repair in-house, building repair contracts, just a slight delineation. I'll have Sam feel free or Matt to chime in if they want. The equipment repair is really kind of just those, day-to-day kind of operational type repairs that occur in a building, that we spend money on.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We are on to page 40.
I move to tentatively approve page 40, building repair in-house in the amount of $445,700.
Second?
So, once again, this kind of continue to improve the townwide, maintenance throughout the day-to-day, HVAC systems, components, interior, exterior surfaces, kitchen maintenance equipment. What you'll see here is the increase, and this is just us phasing back some of the things from, having a new high school. So there are some things that, the first year of a high school covered under a warranty, some things that are there, and so now you just need to kind of start phasing some of those pieces back in, so that's the increase there.
Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. On to page 41.
I move to tentatively approve page 41, building repair contractors in the amount of $238,150.
Second?
And same thing with contracts for the building, you're gonna see an increase just to phasing them in from the high school. What you'll, obviously, you can see on pages 43 through a little bit more itemized detail on those afterwards, but that's what the increase there is for.
Okay, comments, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 42. Or actually, mine goes from 41 to 51.
You do have pages, like the buff pages of detail, is that one?
I don't have,
Anything for 42?
I don't have anything
Is-
between 42 and
Yeah.
50.
Is 42 because it's major projects and it was approved at the Board of Ed meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so building repair projects, 433 is our major projects. So I'm gonna, if Matt's gonna correct me if I'm right, was approved at that.
That was just our we just preliminarily give that overview. And the total that we had given during the prelim was around $270,000 for the major projects that were proposed. And then, I don't know if you wanna carry on with the rest of the explanation there.
Yeah, I was gonna do the rest, but I just didn't know if there was a reason there wasn't a motion for it, or,
It's approving the object, I think.
okay.
But 42 is missing, so they would
All
need
the
to
way up to
tentatively.
50.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
just approve.
I think that's
Yeah,
probably, is that because of these pages here? Once you do 42,
Oh, you have it there?
43, 44,
We have it
45?
in the book
Right.
we're following.
You
Okay.
do? Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, I know, but
42
we
to
don't
50.
have motions for the pages.
It's okay, we can wing it.
Okay.
All right,
So,
43 to 45?
42 to 50.
to 50.
Not
I
on
don't
each
know.
page, I think we just bring them together, right?
I
Well,
think it's
you-
collective
you-
that we're.
you are, you're doing the section which outlines the projects, the major
Right.
projects, but for whatever reason, you still, because
I
I
don't
think
have 42.
we need a motion for 42
Yeah.
through,
Through 50.
50.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
why, and so the amount is accurate, I think, in your book, if it's 107.
107,400, right?
Yep, so you
Okay.
have the accurate amount.
Yep.
And so we just have to say that it's,
Right,
the, building repair projects.
got it.
Yep.
All right, I move to tentatively approve pages 42 to 50, building repair projects in the amount of $107,400.
Second.
So, if you recall, and I'm gonna quiz you on, when we did our major projects presentation a couple board meetings ago, the total was about $270,000 that we were requesting. We've reduced that by $162,850 because the state has, put in last year, but we weren't sure. It's one of those things where the state tells you something, you don't wanna kinda do it, kinda like excess cost until you kinda know. But they've confirmed that, that Farmington, well, everybody in the state, but Farmington was gonna be allocated called a DRIP grant that we'll have for the next 2 years. that'll be about $160,000, $170,000. And so I believe it's district repair and improvement program, it's, grant, so that you're not even applying for it, we have that. So, to try to be good fiscal responsible, we're gonna take that money and offset, the request there. So some of our major projects are gonna be paid through that grant to take some of the pressure off the operating budget.
I don't think these numbers, I'm confused how the numbers tie though, because if you're looking at page 43 through 50, like it gives each school and then it says like, so on page 44, it's like, at the bottom, total repair request 136,000, page 45, 118,000, 46, 92,000. So you're saying all of that?
No, all of that's not part of the major projects. So like some of those, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, some of those are part of building repair contracts.
Yeah, you'd be looking at the subtotal major repairs.
$0.
For which
All
one?
throughout,
For-
throughout everything, that's what I mean.
It's by building.
Oh.
Which you'd have to add up lines.
So it's the combination between 40, 41, and 42.
Yeah.
32, the 21, 44.
It's really the spending across 433, 432, 431.
Right.
And probably even 430 in there, Sam? Some of the equipment repair?
If you're looking at the total repair requests, it's all of the above, the annual repairs, contracts, and the major repairs.
It's objects 430 through 433, correct?
Better
Yeah.
to lay it out.
Yeah.
That's what I was just saying.
Yes.
Highlight what we're like looking at on that.
We've it's kind of like when you asked about some of the other things, like the newsletter.
Yeah.
We're consistently having conversations about what is the best way to present this information.
Yeah.
And to make it more clear, so, my commitment to you is next year, hopefully there'll be something that can kind of outline this a little bit, with a little bit more clarity for you.
Just to clarify though, I think, like, the number that we're approving, total would that be total add of all of?
You're approving each line,
You're approving
and then
each
the list
line.
is all the projects that fall under those 3 lines. I think that's where the confusion's coming
Yeah.
from, is if this chart was either organized differently by line perhaps, or then,
Because you've approved the 109,779 for equipment repair. You've approved the 445,700 for in-house building repair. The $238,150 for building repair contracts. And now we're discussing building repair projects, otherwise known as major projects 433.
Or
I
30, I
think
don't believe.
part of the confusion might be equipment repairs isn't just maintenance, so that's not listed on these pages.
Oh, got it.
Technology
Say that again,
equipment
Jess.
repair
Say
as
that
well.
again.
Equipment repair that you approve first is not included on these pages. So equipment repair could be technology, could be equipment at the school buildings. There's a small part of that that's maintenance, equipment repair as well. So
Yeah.
included on these summary pages are the 431, 432, and 433.
But the one we're actually voting on right now is 433, which would be if you're
Major
saying we
repairs.
add up all these project repair lines.
Yeah.
Only
I
the
mean-
major repair requests. for
At the bottom there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
So, Sam, if I'm correct, so pages 43 through 50 support pages 39 through 41.
39, no, actually 40, 41, and 42.
Okay.
So I think you guys all have this copy from the presentation from Monday. So this, Angela, is what you're approving,
Okay.
the spending on here. But then from this project, you'll see, the bathroom partitions, the classroom carpets, the East Farms courtyard. But some of those we're gonna apply to that state drip grant.
Okay. It's honestly a little confusing. I'm not getting the numbers to tie, but I don't wanna waste everyone's time. Maybe we could just maybe we just lay it out a little bit, or just a table or something. Like if I add up all those lines, the subtotal major repairs, on these pages that support that from 43 to 50, I'm getting 112,400 as that line item, which I don't see anywhere.
did
but
this
maybe I'm-
chart get updated when?
Maybe I'm missing something.
So here's what
Covers three
I'll just
objects.
say,
Yeah.
what I just did was I took pages 40, 41, and 42, added those all together, that was a $791,250, and then subtracted every line in from 43 to 50. And it looks like there's a $19,100 difference there
Okay.
on the right side.
On the right side.
On the black, right.
So
So,
are you just finding money places? Is that what you're doing? Like, no.
look at that.
More cost savings. All right, let's bring this back on.
Yeah.
Cleaned up.
But I think it's close.
I think it's all there. I think we voted on some things already, which we didn't realize had the supporting
Correct.
data
Yeah.
here.
Correct.
Now we're
It's how it's
voting on-
organized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yep.
I think in our attempt to provide more detail, Jim's saying it created more confusion on it.
No, but 43 to 50 seems like more like an appendix of like
Yes.
all of what we
Yeah.
were just approving.
We're adding another column and saying what item it references. So if you had like a column that said this references account 4.31 or 4.32, if it's like, I don't know, that would,
In the charts from 43 to 50?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
So there's like a correlation.
Yep.
Take another go at it.
Yep.
So again, I mean, this is like a tentative approval to move something forward with, with further discussion before adoption, so,
We can bring it, we'll
We'll bring
back.
it forward.
Bring it back cleaned up.
So, just one last thing on that. So when I total the summary pages on the major improvements, it's 107,400. So as far as this next one that you're voting on, we're good. Where it might have happened on this is we're taking two different formats and we're plugging in these numbers on this summary page. So we might have missed some project that tallies that 21,000 that you have.
Yeah,
But
19,000.
the totals that
19.
you voted on are correct based on our budget format that we start with, for sure.
Thank you, Sam.
all right, any additional comments or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I'm gonna abstain.
okay. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right, so now we are on to page 51.
Yes.
Yeah.
I move to tentatively approve page 51, lease of building in the amount of $0.
Second.
Resounding second.
So this is a lease that we don't no longer need else for storage, and so we were able to not need it anymore and then take it out, and this actually will be taken out, in future years.
All right. Comments? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. 52. 52?
Yep, I move to tentatively approve page 52, lease of equipment in the amount of $225,009.
Second.
So this is our copier services contract that we work through the state of Connecticut, bidding process. There is a increase, and that's a result for additional equipment.
And these were the additionals at the high school, correct?
Correct.
When
Yeah.
once we got settled in the building and realized that there was a need for additional equipment, that's where that came from.
Correct.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 53.
I move to tentatively approve page 53, transportation services in the amount of $5,207,712.
Second.
So this is to provide all the transportation for all of our Farmington students. This does include in-district and out-of-district placement of students. With school and vehicles, provide late bus service for the high school and middle school and some upper elementary students. This increase reflects the contractual increase of 5%, which is a contract we have with specialty. Part of this account has been offset by projected grant revenue, so we've applied the anticipated from excess costs, because once again, we talk about excess costs, once you meet past 4.5 times the tuition, providing, individualized transportation, especially for an out-of-placement, adds up, and so we expect to get revenue from there, and so we're applying that here to lower that cost on the operating side. So overall, even though we have the 5% with specialty, the overall increase is a 3.41%.
Questions?
Yeah.
Is any part of specialties contract, the increase, is that reflective of performance? Is there any tie-in to performance?
There's no, the contractual increase, there's no impact on performance. There are some, types of, built into the contract if, if bus run like a, X period over what they're supposed to period, there's like fines and different things, but there's nothing that like, there's no performance, like if they do this, they can increase their contract by this percentage or things like that, so nothing will be.
Those fines and fees and things like that would show up in the monthly.
Those would just come out in the
budgets,
monthly
right?
invoices, so, and there wouldn't be something we would really be able to, we want everything to happen, so you don't anticipate any of those as revenue to apply.
Right.
Any other questions? Angela?
So Dan, this increase is purely based on the contractual plus the additional being applied to it that, from the grant that you were saying, correct?
Yeah, from the excess cost that's in there. So, and we're also, we're seeing some of the additional savings are, once again, in efficiency in runs. Like when we went out for the contract, I forget, I think Matt, you might know, it was initially, the contract was for
40 buses.
For 40 buses. I think we're running somewhere in like the mid-30s. It fluctuates a little bit plus or minus on where that is. So not needing the 40 buses from what we contracted in is, allowing some additional savings.
To Anne's question, how much would you say, if any, we recouped last year from like a service perspective, like if they, contractually something didn't go as we had wanted, or there was a lot of issues last year, obviously, with timeliness and stuff. How much did we recoup from that? Anything?
I remember early on, like those first few months, I think there was, I thought it was like somewhere between $5,000-$10,000 that was there. I don't think off the top of my mind if there was anything in addition after that piece to it. And as to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there's been any, this year from any types of things. But I think we've also, at least from my perspective, seen a much better level of performance and an increase in performance in there, so.
Yeah, I just think, again, more my global outlook on things. Like, this is a lot of money, and I would expect impeccable service for it. If I was running a bus company and was charging this, and there's savings, obviously, if we're running less buses, that's more money to their bottom line. I'm sure there's more profit there. I would just want to make sure we're holding them to that standard if we're going to continue to fund this to this level, and we're not recouping anything for issues or, it's a lot of money. Like, when you think of the buses and the service level, are getting almost, they're getting $5 million for their services. So just a more global thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, to their credit, I know, Matt and I met with them over the summer, and we gave them some very clear directives as far as expectations and things that we wanted to see. And, to their credit, they've kind of met those, they've kind of met those things, and I think we've seen that increased performance. I think if you talk to Tim, I think if you talk to Mike, they would still tell you they're reflecting about how to improve things, I think even this weekend, there's a new bus run at Noah Wallace to try to relieve some, what we feel is like, it technically meets the definition of what they can do, but we feel it kind of is not the level we want to take some pressure off the crowding and things and some behaviors, and so they're making some adjustments on those runs, and so it is constantly looking at, we have these weekly transportation meetings to kind of make sure everything's going there, so, knock on wood, I think, we're moving in a good direction and a good partnership with them and getting to that level.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think from last year's commentary from families, it's definitely better, 100%, but I think there's still room for
Of course.
improvement, I don't think we're at
No. Listen,
perfection yet, so.
I think we all take that approach, model of continuous improvement, right?
Yep.
How do we keep getting better? How do we keep getting better? Never want to be like, no, we're good, let's, so no, 100%, I would agree.
Thank you.
Matt?
Hey Dan, just a couple from me.
Yeah.
So, and I apologize if I missed this first one. So 24 to 25 versus 26 to 27 is over $1 million increase. Is that all contractual, or what's that sort of $1 million change there? So if you look at 24, 25 expended 4.1 versus.
That was
That was the new contract?
That was
Yeah.
switching,
So
that was
million
going over
jump.
the new contract.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you. And the 5.2 is all specialty. There's no other transportation vendors?
Yeah, none of our, yeah.
Got it. And do any of our transportation include aids on the bus, either regular bus or special transportation? Or is that a separate section of the budget
No,
if we use any of those?
So within there, when if they have a monitor on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for, you know, either per IEP or sometimes it just, you know, sometimes we're struggling sometimes with some behavioral things on there, then they'll provide the monitor there, and that cuts, we get charged for that in the monthly invoice.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And I'll just take a minute, and I know I've said this at previous board meetings, but I just wanted to thank you, Dan and Matt, for the immense amount of work that went into this. I know when we signed this contract, we were supposed to be relinquishing the transportation responsibilities of the district and pushing that to specialty, and I know that has been anything but over the last year, but I will say that it is like night and day difference. And I know, to Angela's point and to everybody's point, it's like there's always work to be done and improvements that can be made. Happy to hear that they're continuing to do that and continuing to look at ways to improve. But I mean, the fact that my email traffic has been significantly lessened by the late buses, it's just specifically at Union for my kid. And and I also see it anecdotally at the line at IAR, the parent line. I drive my daughter to school, so I could get that 15 minutes of us time. But you know, that time is awesome, and but the time is lessened because that line is significantly lowered, which means that people are using the service.
Yeah, no.
Which we pay a significant amount of money
No,
for.
thank you. You know, really, line share go to, you know, Matt, team, Dawn Driggs, you know, like really everybody, you know, Matt Martorelli with athletics, and I mean, just everybody, a really big, a team effort, so.
Yeah,
but thank
no,
you.
but just wanted to call that out.
Just a comment too, and I think this is more, like they are on time. I am finding them to be on time, and I'm like screaming at the kids, "You got it, the bus is going!" You know, it's like what it used to be like. Oh, you know, we slowed, but no, we are so mindful now. And then you see I see down the neighborhood too, like the kids are out there waiting because these buses are, at least from my perspective and what I'm seeing in our side of the district and hearing from families, they're getting there.
Good,
And it's
good.
like, okay, and Brady dropped off on time too. So that's a very good improvement in all the great work that you're all doing with this.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 54.
I move to tentatively approve page 54, field trips in the amount of $47,497.
Second?
So this is field trip transportation for all students. We kind of, you know, did a little deep dive on this one because there's a lot of the field trips now when they go on various things. You know, students are, you know, you bring in whatever $7 for this field trip. This is really kind of more some of those part of those extracurricular opportunities and things. So the math team at the high school goes to, you know, I don't know, Newington High School for a competition. So instead of asking the math team when it's maybe 10 kids to have to pay, you know, for a bus, and now they're all gonna pay there, we would pay for some of those extracurricular type ones that are there. So, debate or, you know, various, you know, I think there's like robotics and different things to pay for those transfers. This is where those expenses get put in.
And if we have to do specialized transportation for students on field trips as well, so.
Angela?
This was a favorite of mine too. This is one I had asked about
Sure.
previously. So I do appreciate that commentary, because this was another question to your point. Like, I felt like every time we went on a field trip, it was collecting money and then there wasn't enough money for the buses. Can the PTO give you money for the bus? Like, it was just always confusion. I mean, it's more, I know, Jess, you had just said if there was specialty transportation needed, no pun intended, for like a field trip, then that would be, but it's really more club-based, like trips, it seems like.
A lot of it's
Correct.
club-based. And sometimes for the field trips, it would be like supplementing, right? Like it might be like, we'll use some of this here, and then now it's just, you have the student have to still, pay. It's like, we'll split the difference, right? Like we'll pay for a little bit, but then have the students pay, or families pay like $5 or $10 or something.
Is there like though an equitable way to demonstrate, like, is each school truly getting part of this pie? Because I'm not sure they are, honestly, like, to say, like, are the elementary kids getting a portion of this that's being used for their buses? I don't know what the answer is, my gut says no, but maybe it is. So I don't know if there's either a way to, like, is field trips really the right description, or, and again, this is very small amount of money in the scope of this budget, but it was just something that I think sticks out, like, what are we really what is the town, what are the kids really getting for this line item, you know? Just
Sure,
food
sure.
for thought.
Quick, I'm sorry.
No,
Quick
go ahead.
question, but the sports transportation, that's also included in this. Would that be considered?
No, that
No?
is part of transportation services.
Oh, transportation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm even okay if it is just like math team and debate club and robotics club or whatever, like, that's fine.
You just want it coded and more accurate of the fact. No,
we're
understood.
People, if you're looking at it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we have a line for custodians' shoes, I mean, so I mean, you can kind of like, I mean, it's, so
The description, I think,
so,
here,
yeah.
yeah. But to follow that up, I think it's similar, like Angela and I had comments about that object 318. It's a very similar conversation. So do the elementary schools in particular, do they get a certain allotment? You know, and so maybe one school pays more than the other because they're doing more, I don't know. And I think some of it's curricular. Like we used to have a fourth grade trip that was
Yeah,
curriculum based on the curriculum.
And hopefully the vast majority of our trips are tied to curriculum.
True.
And so, as someone who's signing those, I'm always looking to see like, okay, let's just make sure this. But you're right, but if we were to look at this, we know that the bulk of the money, it's not equally distributed, because I don't think that was ever the intent of it. So I guess the other conversation we'd have to have at some point is, again, what's the criteria for money landing in this line? Is it something that is universal for all students, or is there a desire to have a certain amount allocated by school to offset field trips throughout the year? So those are two different things. But again, about a fifth of this or so is specialized transportation. So if the school goes on a field trip and we need to provide specialized transportation for a student or a group of students, that's included in here as well. That's a piece of it. And then a big chunk's the high school, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Beth, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we break this down, each school has like a, you know, whatever, like a $3,000 allocation or you know, I'm sorry, I might be making up numbers here, but I mean, the whole total we're talking about is, you know, less than $50,000. So if you break that across 7 schools,
The
it's,
elementary schools are around 600 each. The high
Yeah.
school is obviously the highest, and then IAR and Westwoods are comparable, around 2,000, and there's special ed in there, and then there's alternative ed.
yeah. So when you kind of do, you know, all of those pieces, like I said, you know, like a $600 at a school goes.
I was gonna say, is that $1.50?
Yeah.
Per like field trip, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But once again, like I said, it's you know, it's less than $50,000. It's a, you know,
Yeah.
it's a small amount.
Any more questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay, page 55.
I move to tentatively approve page 55, telephone, in the amount of $110,500.
Second?
Self-explanatory?
Any questions about the telephone? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Page 56.
I move to tentatively approve page 56, postage, in the amount of $52,317.
Second?
I mean, relatively self-explanatory. I will note that, you know, also includes some of the HR recruiting and staffing expenses that are built in, but.
Questions, comments? Okay.
So
All,
like the-
go ahead.
So like the mailing of the newsletter would fall under here, or the mailing of the, like, get back to this newsletter that I'm obsessed with. So like, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
Is that-
Yes, and,
that
but,
okay.
you know, also, you know, any type of mailings that go on from schools, any of the, you know, when we do like, special services and, you know, for Wendy, I think, you know, like the IEPs and 504 notifications, still something has to go through mails, you know, so it's just, you know, kind of the, you know, I'll say the operating of still, even though we're in a 21st century, there's still a lot of 20th century communications that still exist, such, telephone and things, so.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Just out of curiosity for like HR recruiting, do you use like services like Indeed or do you solely use like the Farmington Public School website? How do you recruit?
Yeah, no, I mean, we use the Farmington website, and you wanna give an overview of the various services we use?
Indeed, we use our, our website,
Yeah.
we use CT Read.
Yeah.
Those are our main sources of advertising. Every once in a while, when we have to go outside for a nurse or specialty, but that's very rare that we pay a service.
Yeah.
I think we've done it once.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Madam Mayor? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Page 57.
I move to tentatively approve page 57, data line in the amount of $210,303.
Second?
Pretty self-explanatory, just basically our network services.
Questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Page 58.
I move to tentatively approve page 58, printing in the amount of $31,982.
Second?
Pretty self-explanatory.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Page 59.
I move to tentatively approve page 59, public tuition in the amount of $257,906.
Second?
So this is for providing tuition funding for students to attend out-of-district public schools per an IEP in accordance with the state of Connecticut statutes and IDEA. High-quality, specialized in-district programs have been established to ensure students are educated in Farmington with access to the school district's extensive programmatic offerings and services. Increase is based on projected enrollments for 26-27, but this object can be extremely volatile. Part of this account has been partially offset by projected grant revenue. So once again, this is an example of excess cost. You send someone to an out-of-district placement, there's a high likelihood it'll exceed the 4.5 times per pupil expenditure, which then qualifies for, partial reimbursement. And so some of that anticipated revenue gets applied to here to help bring down the cost from the operating expense.
Angela?
So this is, I'm just trying to wrap my head around like what this would be. So I'm more familiar with the next line item, which would be like private tuition. So that's if we outplace a student that needs to go to like a private institution, not institution,
Yep.
schooling, that
Yeah,
would be private. But so there's cases where we're placing students that are Farmington residents into other public schools.
So Wendy's gonna talk about it. It is a misleading, it's a
Yes.
So the easy way to equate this is if you think of our very own Farmington Valley Transition Academy, we're a public entity.
Yep.
We own that school in conjunction with Simsbury. However, we also have other districts that send those children to us.
Okay.
So that would fall under a public tuition line because we own that entity.
Okay.
So there are some districts that have programs that might have characteristics or things that our students might need. And so they're still special education placements, but they're public entities. So that's one thing that falls under that line.
Okay.
The second thing that falls under that line too is we do have families that opt for the magnet school system. And if they opt for the magnet school system, we are still responsible for the IEP and all of the programming, and we would have to pay the special services tuition for those students to attend and still get their services. So that would fall under the public line as well.
Oh, that's interesting. So if they are at a magnet school but have an IEP and they're a Farmington resident, it goes under.
We are obligated to fund those services because they are a resident of Farmington.
Is that true for other private schools, or is that just magnet schools?
No, so there's a whole different mechanism that goes with private schools, and the only private school we have here is Miss Porter's, and so that's a whole different thing. It doesn't fall underneath that.
So if you attended a private school out of town but had services, Farmington doesn't have to pay for those services?
No.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
And you can see the public tuition, it's, $258,000, which as opposed to when you get to the private tuition, we're
Right.
talking about $2 million, right? So there's not, it's not a big window when it happens, but when you say that, I understand the confusion when you say the public, like public tuition.
Right.
Why it creates that level of confusion.
Wendy's point on the Farmington Valley.
Transition Academy?
Transition Academy,
Yeah.
so is that offset by, do people pay us to come there, and is that in this line item as
So
well?
Farmington Valley Transition Academy is kind of like, on a separate, I'll say a separate budget, right? You don't see it there, it's kind of self-sustaining.
Same
So,
concept, you would use
But
the
yes,
circle column.
ultimately, by bringing in, students from other districts into there, it helps offset that, and for us to be able to send those students to Farmington Valley Transition Academy, which for us kind of ends up being relatively, from their budget, not within here, budget neutral, does though have an impact on our operating budget, because if we didn't have that program, each one of those, and I believe we have 15 students currently there, each one of those 15 students, we'd be paying for most likely an out-of-district placement, which would have a significant amount, and then that would be coming probably from one of these two lines. So that program, although we don't really get to see that kind of benefit, does help tremendously keep the operating budget at what I would consider a manageable level.
So cost avoidance. And I just want to make clear that the private tuition lines and the public tuition lines for when our students need that specialized placement, it will fluctuate from year to year because it's all dependent on the student needs and then matching them with the program that is most appropriate to best meet their needs. So some years, private line might be higher, public line might be lower, and then other times, depending on the student needs, it'll fluctuate. And of course, those students fluctuate through the year, so that just changes and it's very fluid.
Okay, awesome, thank you very much.
Erica, go ahead.
Just one clarification, because Wendy, you mentioned magnet schools, but that's not, this is for those like, because there is that whole magnet open choice program, that's
Right.
different than this, that's, because you mentioned magnet schools, and so these
Yeah.
are for like certain, special education kids, or students
Yes.
needing specialized programming that is being offered within a magnet school versus the accessibility of a magnet open
Correct.
choice program that we all have access to.
Correct.
That's different, and there is a tuition exchange for those, so
Yes.
one student per, that's not necessarily part of this budget, I just wanna be very clear, because you mentioned magnet schools.
And I
Oh.
think,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Doesn't
Go,
matter. Matt?
So what happens if someone wants to go to Bristol Tech? Will we be able to cover that tuition too, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's, so if a student chooses to go to Bristol Tech, I think with the Southington's, I think the other program that we have, we would, there's a tuition that we pay, and we cover that.
And then the technical schools are their own local education agency. So it would actually, for the technical school system, if our students choose to go there, it would be a disenrollment from Farmington and an enrollment in the technical school system because they are their own local education agency. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Wendy answered my question one or two ago, but, so we do see that fluctuation, I think, here, where we see public tuition 2024, 2025 was 552,000, and now we're looking at more 260,000. So that's just dependent on the actual students and what you have, kind of your class or cohort.
That's an exact
example. Because that's quite a difference.
Yeah.
Any more? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Page 60.
I move to tentatively approve page 60, private tuition in the amount of $2,031,234.
Second?
And this is, similar to public tuition, but now this is for the private tuition, for private placements that are there. As you can see, it's a much higher amount. However, once again, we do apply anticipated revenue from excess cost grants to kind of bring this down, and that becomes part of Wendy and I on a regular basis of kind of making those adjustments and anticipating where those is to keep those in line.
Questions? Erica?
And not necessarily a question, but I think to tie it back to what Wendy presented, because just knowing that there is a lot of attention being paid at the state level right now through the legislature to sort of standardize, and they use regulation, but the term regulation, but standardize a lot of those costs and the quality of educational services for that. So I foresee in the future that there's gonna be some significant changes in this area.
Yeah.
A lot of changes.
Matt?
I was just wondering if you could comment on the increase and how much sort of an actual increase in student need versus sort of expected or unknown increase we're building in based on our assumption of potential increase.
Yeah, I mean, and feel free to kind of add in, each year, we kind of take a look and you see where your, kind of the rollover is, right? Like students, if they're kind of a placement, is, let's say if it's in 9th grade and you expect them to be in 10th grade, so you kind of map that out and extrapolate that. But at the same time, you have conversations with, at the IEP to see how they're doing, right? Is there progress, and we anticipate maybe this one will kind of move back into the district or move in there. And so some of it is anticipated, you have things where there's referrals, you might have things where there's due process going on. And so there's, there's always a lot of these different things. So it's a little bit of taking the actual numbers where we are, but also kind of projecting where we think we might be.
If you remember back to my presentation where I took the trend line of out-of-district placements from like 2017, 2018 through current, I also use that to make estimates of like where we'll be and how many outplacements that we have. We take a look at the current students we have, what the situations are, what the current movement is, and we make the best projection we can for what we will need. It will never account for if one year we have an anomaly and 5 students move in who already have an out-of-district placement that we're obligated to support, but we make the best projections we can based on what we know about our student population now and based on the trend line data that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Do private institutions also let you know in advance, or how far in advance do they let you know if there is going to be a cost increase, like to their tuition?
Oh, that's...
Is that a bad question?
That is the loaded question. That is why you see and Erica knows, that is why you see the legislation the way that it is right now and their efforts around cost control. So we're doing the best we can right now to project what the revenues are, and we'll be getting some rate sheets piecemeal. But literally, as we're trying to give you our best projections now, tuition projections for the schools are like rolling in by piecemeal, and they will continue to roll in like through the end of February and into March. So we also take the trend line data and that, and like what has been the institution's past record, right? Has it been a 3% increase? Has it been a 5% increase? I say it's a loaded question right now because I will tell you transparently, like, while this legislation is now out there and everybody knows that some cost control is going into effect, I also think that the institutions and other districts trying to figure this out are also being proactive and sending in cost increase that look a little bit different than they have in the past. So we're doing the best we can to reconcile all of that and make the best projections we can.
But we laugh a little because it's not uncommon that in May or June, all of a sudden, we'll get a notice that, a placement is now going to go up significantly higher than we anticipated, and we're like, and so it's just the fluctuation and kind of there. So
One of the good pieces of news in the new legislation is it used to be that we were getting information like that mid-year, and that all of a sudden like costs would change and go up, or there'd be a rate increase mid-year. The legislation that came out this year strictly mandated that nobody is able to change the costs of the tuition that they projected from last year mid-year. So that's one instance of this legislation that's already gone into effect. And then I believe like between 27 and 28, we're supposed to get more information about how the state is going to kind of like align this and make these cost controls more consistent across placements.
Yeah. And the reality of that comes, you know, I get my next insurance premium and it goes up 20%, I can call and shop around and do that. Here, we're talking about students who are in a program with established relationships, in a routine, many of them who like, you know, thrive on that routine. And so to be able to, you know, you don't wanna go to a family and say, hey, sorry, we're trying to cut costs and we're gonna go send you to another program and have to start a whole new, you know, like it's just not what we're about, right? And so it's, you know, Wendy will come to me and I'm like, we'll make it work. Right, we're gonna make it work, because that's what the kid deserves, and that's what should, you know, that's the program that the kid should be in, and we work through there, so.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. On to 61.
I move to tentatively approve page 61, tuition to educational service agencies in the amount of $340,501.
I'm gonna pass my seconding because I have to step away.
Oh,
so,
that's right, okay.
I don't know if you want a second or whoever, but I'm gonna step out now, so.
Okay.
All right. I need a second.
Second.
So this is account, support special services costs for students in magnet schools, as well as tuition costs for the Farmington Valley Diagnostic Center, based on students receiving special services that are attending magnet schools. So you can see a small increase.
Okay, questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Next page, 62.
I move to tentatively approve page 62, tuition other in the amount of $48,000.
Second.
And so this is providing the mandated educational services to the adult community of Farmington, educational programs and personal development, vocational prep, state mandated academic courses, high school completion, GED, CDP, NEDP, citizen preparation, multilingual learners, and workforce development.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 63.
I move to tentatively approve page 63, travel in the amount of $98,261.
Second.
So this is for travel, stipends for administrators, teachers for contracts, expenses for conferences, training, professional development.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. 164, right? Page 64?
I move to tentatively approve page 64, natural gas in the amount of $354,540.
Second.
So pretty self-explanatory, except when you have minus 10-degree days and you're gonna have your units cranking pretty hard. But overall, Sam works really hard with his team to try to, manage it as fiscally responsible as possible while keeping the building safe.
Comments, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We're on to page 65.
I move to tentatively approve pages 65 through 67, electricity in the amount of $1,407,037.
Second.
So pretty self-explanatory.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Executive session.
Hmm?
66 is the detail.
Yes.
I think we keep going.
Okay, all right.
Is that grouped in with that, or is that separate?
Because it's noon, I know what time we're leaving at, what do we want to break, or do we want to do executive session?
We could do that. Do we want to break for lunch and do that? Like a session, that's probably like a working lunch.
I prefer to do the working lunch,
Yeah.
just in the interest of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. What time are we scheduled for? Noon?
Oh, it's all set up.
It's all set, we're ready to
Okay,
go
all
whenever.
right. Do you want to do that now?
So you wanna move to executive session and then we'll.
And then we'll
do
continue
budget
with
here and then
supplies.
we'll
Yeah,
do
and then
supplies.
we'll go back to, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I move to executive session at 11:57.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Say the reason.
Oh,
Oh. Yeah, to, executive session for possible approval of an employee's leave of absence and consider a motion to adopt, no, that's it, not that one, right?
I mean, we probably could do both, right?
it's both.
Yeah, it's both. It's the
Here, sorry.
non-affiliated.
Non-affiliated
He's got it.
salaries.
No, this isn't the,
That's when we come back.
yeah.
I think it's up on the screen. Let me go to the slide.
There.
You can see it on
Yeah.
here.
Yep,
That's all it
yep.
says.
Yep.
Amend it, just do it again?
Yeah.
All right. I move to executive session at 11:58 for a discussion of non-affiliated contracts for year 26-27 and discussion of an employee's leave of absence request.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? All right, we're in executive session at 11:58.
All right, I move to return to public session at 12:53.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're in regular session. So next item we have is the supplies.
We are on page 67.
Yeah, I
I-
think Dan is gonna.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
okay.
400 series supplies, next series of supplies, or the 400 series, which accounts for, we'll just say 3% for the total recommended budget.
All right, so we're on page 67.
I move to tentatively approve page 67, instructional supplies in the amount of $593,098.
Second.
Hopefully, self-explanatory, these are just, day-to-day for the schools, you'll see a slight increase of a little more than $2,300.
Any questions?
Just quick for me, this is enough supplies to get us through the year, or are we scrimping to the
Yeah,
end? How do
good
I?
question. Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to mention here is just, you notice the percentage change. What that accounts for is our teams doing like inventories, ensuring that we are doing that zero-based budgeting. But at the same time, really going through sharpening our pencils and taking out things that are not necessary because we feel like we have what we need within the line. So while individual item lines may be going up, like the cost of pencils may be up, 7% or 6%, the overall line is very modest increase based on the work that our teams have done. So, good question.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We are on page 68.
I move to tentatively approve page 68, student activity athletic supplies in the amount of $315,434.
Second.
So this is a comprehensive interscholastic athletic program at the high school and provide for some inter-school competition at Irving Robbins, supplies, equipment, officials, pool, ice rental, first aid, training supplies, other related costs. Also other extracurricular programs both at the high school and middle school. Also provides for student planners.
Comments? Questions?
So I've been on the board long enough, or maybe just in the room as a parent or advocate for a number of years to know the student planners is always a question. Because over the years, students, there's feedback that they're not using them. Do high schoolers still get them? Is it more of a middle school thing now? I've not seen one in my house for several years. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I believe it's more, I think at the high school now, they don't do it where it's just everybody gets one. I think they ordered far fewer of them.
Okay,
And should
they
decide
request.
if it's a request and kind of that piece to
Yep,
it.
yep, yep.
I'm not positive, I can check on the middle school to see if that's something where they're still giving to everybody.
It's also.
Westwoods.
And
And
Westwoods.
also, it includes the their like school rules and everything, so that'll be a copying cost anyway. So it's already included in there, and it provides a page for like a parents decide.
Oh,
and
right,
all
their
of that.
hand-
So
it's
it's
like
kind
a
of like
Like their handbook, it's like built
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But I wanna say it's not just IR in the high school, I know, I have one in Westwoods right now, and we have one in Westwoods.
Okay, yeah.
Westwood's
And-
Yeah, Westwood still.
Yeah.
It could be where, yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't use it.
No.
It drives me crazy. You know, but, I think part of that, not to talk here, but it's just like, it's about these organizational skills, right? That's what the intent is of that. And, yeah, but I see here what you're saying, and I thought where you were going is, I know in the past, and I think if Angela was here, she might say that, I don't know, but in a sense of the fees to student athletic, you know, it seems to be going up, but it hasn't gone up.
I don't think it's gone up.
It hasn't gone up,
It's gone up
no?
for many years.
Yeah.
Okay.
$125
Okay.
per student per season
Okay.
with a $500 family cap.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the right place to ask this question, but we charge for athletic events. You know, they have to buy tickets to go to the basketball games, the soccer games. Where does that money go?
Student activities, it goes to a student activities account that is then used to offset. So the fees that we collect, the $125 per student per season with the cap, doesn't fully cover cost of officials and the expenses for the CIAC athletics. So those ticket fees are used to offset expenses related to those particular sports.
Okay, thank you.
Like, I can think of a specific example, when they were moving to the new central office, the field house area, the dryer had like, you know, that they use for the, you know, equipment and some of the stuff finally like just conked out. And so, I mean, you know, obviously it could have been maybe a capital, could have been maybe a major project, could have been equipment repair, but, you know, Matt had that in the funds from like ticket
Gotcha.
revenues and stuff, so we just had it go for there. So it's a little, so, you know, various types of things to kind of, once again, take some pressure off operating.
I also have just a quick question. I don't even know if this fits here as well, but I know with this beautiful new building that we have here, are we, I would assume we're looking into, you know, hosting CIAC, you know, state tournaments, wrestling, basketball, whatever it may be, here as revenue generating activities?
So they don't.
Or is that more of?
They don't necessarily generate revenue. Like when they come here, we allow them to use the facility. So like, you know, it's like a in-kind thing with CIAC to allow them to use it. Where you could potentially have revenue is, it's like if there's a, you know, I don't know, semi-final volleyball, and the volleyball boosters wanted to set up concessions for it, you know, they probably could maybe like do something there, but it's not like, it wouldn't be a direct school revenue for us on those.
And just to follow up, so the ticket prices?
Yep.
Tickets to those CIAC events at the end of the season, that's paid directly to CIAC. That's not actually being paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
CIAC sets the ticket prices,
Correct.
the ticket prices go through them
Thank
and the
you.
app, and so we're just really giving them a place to, because once again, if we made it to the semifinals, there's a school who's allowing
Right.
their field
So
to be
it's
used.
a wash
So, yeah, so
eventually.
it's a big
Okay.
in-kind kind of a thing.
But the fees for the door prices, the ticket prices for non-CIAC just during regular season, that goes to the school
That
and
comes
that
to the school.
specific program.
Yeah.
It really bothers me that
sometimes
we have to
actually-
pay for athletics and then we come to the door to watch our kids play and we have to pay again and grandparents pay and kids pay to see their friends and it doesn't sit right with me, but that's the bigger
Yeah, I agree
philosophical.
because I go to athletic events too, and in other school districts, and you don't have to pay the ticket fees, so it's, I get that question a lot when I'm sitting there at Tungus Mead, it's like, why, where does this money go, why do we do that? So
Or at
that's
least
why
all
I'm
students
asking.
should maybe be, right, 'cause the parents are paying that too.
Well, let me follow up, like, right, sometimes you go, it's a senior price, it's a kid price, it's adult price. What would like parent of a player price be, and how would that actually impact this budget line item, right? Because that's kind of what we're talking about. Would we have to increase this to offset the $2 each parent pays or $5 each parent pays? I don't know the answer to that, and no one needs to look that up, but.
Why don't we get some information for you too,
Yeah.
so you can
That's
kind of
like
really
how much
look at what
revenue-
we're.
Basically asking how much revenue does this
Yep.
generate?
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
obviously, I would assume most of the attendees are the parents, so,
Or family members.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least the parent, like the parents make, I don't know.
I think it's a good question
Grandma
just
pay.
for us to
That would
review,
probably be right.
that system.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Just one, go ahead, Ann.
I was just gonna say, is it possible to go back to cash also? I get a lot of complaints from people that, especially older people, they can't figure it out, they don't know how to work, they didn't buy it ahead of time, why do I have, if they don't have a card, why don't, I can't get in, I don't have that kind of thing.
It is interesting.
Payment method.
And I would imagine using the electronic payment sources, you're paying a fee. So you're losing money to begin with on the full cost of the entry fee.
Yes, although I will say is, and I'm not exactly sure for us, with the CIAC, they require to use like their system and app, and you have to prepay, they won't sell tickets at the,
Right.
But,
Well,
and once again,
that would be something of a larger scale what you
that's
get.
outside of our control, right?
Right.
Like,
Right,
it's-
but I mean,
regular
just coming
season?
to, the
Yeah, sure.
line when you're trying to get into the football game, because everyone's trying to tap and pay, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you still had that little window for cash, it would be great.
Sure.
I thought you did do cash though.
No.
I think it depends on the booster club.
Oh,
It's kind
okay.
of, it
Football
could it
doesn't
be,
do cash,
could it be what
wrestling
they're
doesn't
set
do
up
cash.
for?
Okay.
Maybe they could use some, I don't know,
We'll talk to Matt about it.
consistency.
Okay.
Oh, just, one, just,
We got 3 minutes going on.
What do you think?
You're looking at me, yeah.
For or against cash?
Yeah, I'm okay with cash. It's more of the cell service, by the way, I think, over there than anything, which messes some people up on your phone. But extracurricular, like the musicals or plays that occur here, does that kind of fall under this, or is that separate section?
So like the musicals was, I
I'm just
believe.
thinking of non-sports
Yeah,
stuff.
I think it was this.
Or is that a
other-
different-
Other
already
student
went.
services. I
Okay.
forget the exact number.
All right, that's okay. All right, thank you.
I think that's when Matt stepped out, when we did the music one. We voted on that arts, there
Right.
was one,
Yeah.
There was a line, I think that's when
Yeah.
Matt stepped out.
All right, anything else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Motion carries. We're on page 69.
I move to tentatively approve page 69, office supplies, in the amount of $68,173.
Second.
Self-explanatory?
All right, any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention? Motion carries. We are on page 70.
I move to tentatively approve page 70, library supplies, in the amount of $9,995.
Second.
Second, self-explanatory?
Does this, just one quick
Yeah.
question, isn't there, it just says library materials,
There's another one for library books.
Oh, okay.
There's one for library books. This is just like the materials.
Okay,
Yeah.
Not books.
Right.
All right.
not books. Okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Motion carries. We are on page 71.
I move to tentatively approve page 71, testing materials, in the amount of $48,051.
Second.
So here you can see just a variety of testing materials, board goals, fund, sport administration of the PSAT, offered at the Farmington High School. Happy to take any questions.
Is the increase just in terms of cost increase of the
I think
testing?
just-
Or are we doing additional testing?
No, I think it's just,
That's another example of,
yeah.
what we're being charged to do business.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion carries. Page 72.
I move to tentatively approve page 72, health supplies, in the amount of $17,152.
Second.
Self-explanatory, Band-Aids, ice packs, et cetera.
All right. Any questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion carries. Page 73.
I move to tentatively approve page 73, audiovisual computer supplies, in the amount of $214,605.
Second.
So this not only includes obviously the audiovisual materials, but you can see also some of our network and security licensing is included in this. Once again, you see that large increase, that's the, while we say 3% inflation, we're finding that in a lot of these areas that it's much larger than that.
And the shift between the objects.
Yeah, that's correct. We also have the shift from 650 as well, so you'll see eventually us bringing from 650 down a little bit.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention? Motion carries. Page 74.
I move to tentatively approve page 74, custodial supplies in the amount of $231,100.
Second.
Everything but the shoes.
Okay, questions? All right, all those, yes, Sam?
A quick callback, if we can on this, back to the pages 43 to 50. What we determined was that the difference that you were talking about, the $18,000, is because uniforms are listed on those summary sheets, which is the $18,000 difference. It's not included in those 431 to 433s. It's actually included in this amount, but that $18,000 difference is the uniforms.
So no savings.
All right. Gotcha. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 75.
Thanks, Sam. I move to tentatively approve page 75, gasoline in the amount of $247,936.
Second.
Self-explanatory?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 76.
I move to tentatively approve page 76, textbooks in the amount of $236,925.
Second.
Self-explanatory?
Any questions about the textbooks? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 77.
I move to tentatively approve page 77, library books in the amount of $49,049.
Second.
So, although self-explanatory, just explain a little bit the decrease. We kind of, this is once again kind of doing some reflection of seeing how we have kind of always done it, and we kind of just rolled over, and we ended up looking and doing it more from a per pupil expenditure from there, and thought that would be kind of a not only just a more equitable, but kind of meeting the needs. We're also just seeing, generally speaking, a little bit, the library collections are in pretty good shape and kind of there, and as things are moving more toward a digital thing, that this is an area that we could find a little bit of cost savings without having a huge negative impact on the student experience.
All right, any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 78.
I move to tentatively approve page 78, library subscriptions in the amount of $1,349.
Second.
So this is just slightly different. This is the library databases when they do the research and the various icon, I think is one of them, and some of the other subscriptions that they get.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 79.
I move to tentatively approve page 79, professional subscriptions in the amount of $5,598.
Second.
Self-explanatory?
Questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 80.
I move to tentatively approve page 80, technology-related supplies in the amount of $335,804.
Second.
So hardware, software type of supplies, and then this is circling back to before that, offsetting from the 617 to there. So you'll see here the decrease of 15,000 and change.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We are on to equipment.
So the 500 series or equipment series accounts for a little more than 0.5% of the total recommended budget and reflects an increase of almost 17%. We'll say.
All right, pages 81 through 89.
I move to tentatively approve pages 81 through 89, replacement of equipment in the amount of $48,021.
Second.
So pretty much self-explanatory, facility, technology, equipment. Oh, sorry, Matt's getting me moving to be on the 500 series. Thank you very much, sir. Happy to take any questions. You can see the next few pages are
Get some detail there.
Any questions or comments or? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. We are on 90 through 98.
I move to tentatively approve page 90 through 98, new equipment other in the amount of $63,025.
No, the request
No.
is 427.
Oh, sorry. Got it.
Other. Shouldn't this be 90 through?
No, this one's right. I'll do this one. I move to tentatively approve pages 90 through 98, new equipment other in the amount of $427,418.
Second.
Yeah, so then that one's wrong,
Some
too.
facility and technology, but pretty much the Chromebooks, a one-to-one program that we have, where they get them grades
Okay,
3,
fine.
5, and
Yeah, these were the dollar changes.
Hmm.
This was the dollar change.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
has to be redone.
Rewritten, yeah, okay.
Well, we have to approve the correct amount, because that's not the right amount.
Which one did you just read, James?
That was 90 to 98.
Oh, no, this one's right. That's a small one.
Yep.
Yep.
This one just was the dollar change instead of the total
Yeah.
request.
All right.
So this one was right. The last one was right too.
The one before was
Correct.
correct. This
Yep.
one just needs to read
Yep.
that.
Yep.
All right,
We're good.
we're good.
Yep.
any questions?
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We're on dues and fees.
Dues and fees. 600 series accounts for less than 0.39% of the total recommended budget and shows a decrease of about 3.5%. Account includes memberships and organizations that support our strategic improvement efforts. This also includes the town of Farmington's negotiated liability, umbrella, and motor vehicle insurance for the school district.
All right, so page 99.
I move to tentatively approve page 99, insurance other than employee benefits in the amount of $275,000.
Second.
So once again, focusing on the insurance, the various liability umbrella policies and things we have.
Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Page 100.
I move to tentatively approve page 100, memberships in the amount of $61,121.
Second.
And these are the variety of professional memberships that we have between teachers and administrators.
Questions?
One, Andrea.
Yeah.
So,
No,
sorry
go
about
ahead.
my
No, go ahead.
peripheral vision. Should sit back. So I know during the superintendent search, and we used CABE's services for that, we talked a little bit about that association, and I know we dropped out of that many years ago, before my time on the board, but I remember when that decision was made, that we were really looking at the budget and cutting even every little expense that we could, but if not this year, I just figured it's coming up in the budget now. There is a professional association for Board of Education members, and we may or may not at some point decide that we would get good value from that. I mean, I think some people took advantage of their training. You don't have to be a member,
Nope.
but obviously you get a cut rate, and
Sure.
there are other
That
resources.
was just-
So just, but maybe we decide just like kind of, I don't, à la carte is a better way to take advantage of their
If you don't mind me
services.
jumping in, that was my question, was CABE part of this? And for the new board members, we went and it was great. So, again, I was curious how much it would actually cost, but, yeah.
We could get a like a fee structure from them. And one thing that shifted over time was using the policies. So we use the shipment policies right now, and so it used to be different. But Certainly something we can explore, and again, have them come out and speak to you as a group about the types of services that they offer and what types of trainings and whether or not that might be interested, and then something you're interested in, and I'm sure they'd love to work with us because CABE wants to be involved in as many boards of education as they can across the
I know.
state.
They very much would
yes.
like to work with
Yes,
us.
and
Full
so-
court press on
It was
us
like
when we were there.
salivation.
Yes, yeah. So really though, just like we do with anything in our budget, right, we've got to do a cost analysis of what they offer, what types of supports, and then as a board, is it something of value to you, or is it something we feel that we could do, you know, our own professional development through other avenues, so something we can explore for sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Page 101.
Drum roll. I move to tentatively approve page 101, grand total in the amount of $86,858,554.
Do you have the?
Second.
All right, so that's a number that's adjusted from
It's
what's
adjusted,
in our book.
Yeah, remember, that's a different, the number you have in your book should be adjusted from there, and so that on the screen should be the updated number.
Can somebody read what the dollar change is? Because, so I don't have to,
3,617,571, or 4.35 inches.
thank you. All right, motion, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. So, that brings us to,
Item
I know I gotta find my.
Do you
7.
want to do real quick any updated questions?
Oh, yeah, do you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go through those updates?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so at the break, Beth and Ann were able to work to answer some of those questions, and then just see if there's any questions you still want from the team going into Monday. So, for Matt, your question about the breakdown of salaries. So, I'm gonna try to, because I wasn't able to kind of articulate it, you know, in a nice chart, but, so if we just rolled over contractually the salaries, the teacher salaries, it would have been about $1.45 million. Once you took out the reduction of staffing, the teachers, and there was like a .2 library and the various staffing in there, that would have taken out that $575,000. There's an addition of $350,000 within like the, care team member and additions in there, which then brings us to like a 1,226,000 kind of like where the increase was. So that's where you kind of get some of that shift. So then the rest of that would have been the contractual. Health insurance question, currently we have, I think it's about 665 employees, 494 are currently on our insurance. And for student services, commencement was the largest part of that, which it was about $29,000. And then, about $36,000 $29,000 for the high school commencement, $7,000 for IAR commencement. So that was about 36,000 of the 50,000, and then about 15,000 was kind of like the high school transition, those T-shirts, convocation, some of those beginning, opening activities that they do in the beginning of the year. I don't know if there's any other outstanding questions that you want us to. We're going to try to, I think we have that explanation with the uniforms there, but we can still look at trying to come up with a better way to break down the various costs for those.
For pages 43 through 50.
Yeah, 43 through 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else outstanding? I mean, if after today we
Just
go through our stuff and
Yep,
think of
absolutely.
anything. All right. So that brings us to item 7, new business, possible approval of employees' leave of absence request. Can I have a motion?
Yep, I move to approve an employee's request for leave of absence of Allison Fitzpatrick for the remainder of the 2025-2026 school year without compensation.
Second.
All right. Any comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. And then that brings us to item 7B, which is a consideration of a motion to adopt the 26-27 school budget or adjourn and continue on to February 2nd, 2026 budget workshop.
I move to adjourn and continue to February 2nd, 2026 budget workshop.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so we are adjourned at 1:21 PM.